भाई तुम्हारा भाई इंटरनेशनल जा रहा है चैट। भाई मेजी इतना ओह शिट, किसके लिए मेजी मेजी स्पैम हो रहा है ये तो बताओ पहले। लॉर्ड मेजी इज हियर। किधर? एक लौंडा लिख रहा है मेजी की चाट लो। हैं? व्हाट द फक? जो भी मेन स्ट्रीम देख रहे हैं मेजी की स्ट्रीम पर आओ। थैंक यू संतोष फॉर 40 रुपीज सुपर चैट, थैंक यू। तुम्हें तो रोज
माइक की क्या गांड पड़ गई है? चूत का नाम हो तो भाई सही ना तो आई धोने इधर आने ना इत फोन बजाए इतने बच्चे चे एक्वा अब इतने घाट है पता नहीं पापा ना वो कोई नहीं Guys, like, share, subscribe, give me a 200 rupees for next motivation. Don't dislike, please. Apa ya udah sih. Itu ini lah karena orang tuh tahu juga lah kalau lagi apa. Kayak magic lah mana-mana intinya. Cheer. GC वाले पेंटिंग है ना पीजी को लग रहा है। देख देख कैसे खुश हो रहा है सुरेश लोड। लाइव है मार्केट इंग्लिश में
Feeling so good after yesterday. I just hope they can contain that and put that energy, put that confidence into making some really big brain plays and not just make silly decisions because they're being really overconfident. That's the balance that you've got to keep here. So I just really hope and pray that that's what we're gonna see from them today, and it's not gonna be a little bit of a a car wreck, because we need to see that. OG, we've loved what we've seen from them so far. We just need them to bring the heat.
Well, the heat is coming, Max. Oh, that hot drop, man. It's coming. We know it's only a matter of time, guys. Can OG hold it on? Can they get those eliminations? Let's see if it's going to happen right here, right now. Let's go ahead and take it on over to Blake and John Allen.
Hold on.
Hello, and welcome to day 2 here of the Gauntlet. We've got another rondo up and up to bat. It is going to be big. It's going to be messy because we've got those recall beacons back in action. They're engaged. Just like us, we're jumping straight into this one.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm locked in. Not the tomatoes, not the onions. Stop throwing them, please, please. I can only take so much.
He's in the stocks, bro. He's in the stocks on this.
I got put in the stock haze, so it was crazy. But we're straight back into things over on Rondo here, Northern Plain Path. Should be a good one. Hopefully less of the water in this one as opposed to yesterday, because yesterday's finish was pretty insane, and I think we're theorizing behind the scenes. Probably shouldn't have been possible in the first place. I think it was fairly cruel. And there's only so much water in Rondo as well, right? You got a little bit down towards Rinjiang, and then most of it's over towards Tulinjaden City. And we managed to head right there, which was very unfortunate. Already though, again, there's hot drops coming through. The 3-mans going up against one another, trying to get as many points as possible in the early game of Rondo.
Saw those big pickups right at the beginning of yesterday. I think it was 6 points earned off Alpha 7, right? That was pretty incredible stuff off one team to be able to extract 6 elimination points right off the bat. Was brilliant. That was R8, I believe, who were able to be the main profiteers of that one. We are going to be heading up to the northeast side on the circle as our hot drops continue to unfold. I'm sure we're going to have more than just GS and Geeke on our plates very, very shortly. But of course, remember those recall beacons. We harp on about it it enough, you guys should be familiar at this stage with just how it will work. You can see a little bit of maybe trepidation for these teams right now to kick things off.
Kind of crazy that you've got SafG from GK all the way up towards the northwest side of the map, south of Minhu. This is practically on the other side of the world right now to the rest of his squad. But obviously, Nerzed in the mix with the rest of them. So Ragnarok and Kevin. I think this is a pretty good mix as well in terms of firepower versus GS. But GS brought out some surprising gameplay yesterday, some pretty strong stuff. All right, Marth starting things off versus Revo with the knock, takes him down instantaneously. That's what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, looks like maybe we're on for a repeat over there. Brazilians getting bandied about. Meanwhile, APG looking to try and hold the door frame. Top can't quite land the spray. With the UMP around the corner, the step in with the micro Uzi is good, but it's going to be all right for Alpha Gaming. They are actually very, very split. They're on a four-way split. Every single one of their players dropped solo, and they will have plenty of opportunity to go for these recall beacons. But that seems an interesting choice for APG.
Yeah, it's super weird as well, considering like Alpha Gaming strategy is to drop as a 4-man on Rondo. To come to globals, it's like, well, let's drop as a 1-man. In 4 different locations, which I don't think it's ideal. I mean, all 4 of these positions are not in the circle either. So this is a complete, I want to say waste of time from Alpha Gaming, but it's not great. Let's put it that way. So to regroup here, you'd have to battle through R8, A7, DRX, even OG's in front of you here. Could be a bit of a menace to you. So I think that overall this is a bit of a difficult scenario right now for APG. Not sure I'm on board with the strategy just yet. We'll have to wait and see.
The one thing I think may have happened there is that they were trying to camp multiple recall beacons, right? And I'm really giving them some slack here. I feel like it's very tenuous of a link, but yeah, it's a weird play. It's certainly not something we've seen before on Rondo, where teams are balling up for the death balls. Okay, that was first blood. I mean, that makes sense. You hit the deck, you get that M4 on board, you're gonna hit those sprays all day. Looks like they do get some retribution though. Alpha 7 back in.
Yeah, I think Obscure's been playing very well, honestly, for Alpha 7. Out of all the players as well, you sort of expected to be Revo, Carrillo pulling out that magical moments, but honestly, Obscure has been very strong, even just on the nades overall. Jafar at distance here from GS with DS3 and Icon inside the building. He seems to be dipping out a little bit here. There is one nade in the hands of Icon. Could be quite deadly versus GK, but this fight is massively slowed down. And again, this is towards the north side of Jadena City, so they're not really towards the circle just yet either. Both teams likely would have to rotate on that north side. It is slightly weird for GK with SafG being over towards that northwest side, where the intention here is, I guess, not to lose the fight, but if they don't lose the fight, regrouping with SafG might be slightly rough. Let's put it that way, because they've got to push through Mad Balls. There's Deke Xavier in front of them over towards Concierge as well. So yeah, I don't know how that happens. Reefus is down from Alpha Gaming. He tried to look in on this fight, and Marth said no.
Marth's cracking on. He's having a great day so far. And R8 very happy to earn these points back. They do still need to get one of their teammates back into the fold. They did, of course, lose that one to Obscure. But Alpha 7 seem to have actually regrouped here now as well. They are all 4 players alive. He spotted an off angles there. Rizal actually landing the shots of the Marth, and there's no response. A nice little pickup. He steps through, gets the flush for Alpha 7. Another point added to the tally. But is Amori going to find that answer? Doesn't look like it. He hits the deck in time.
Yeah, it's a pretty aggressive push here coming through from Marth, honestly. And at least he does reveal the position from Quizao as well as Carrillo. But that's about it. They do have the outpost and Prestige down towards Rinjiang, which is pretty far out from the circle, but they can pick their players up. I think right now, probably Prestige is just asking Amori to see if he can get a knock, get a flush, and then just leave out of here. VP enters the scenario as well, as does Zjol from APG. It's a full 4-man squad now, back up and in position.
All right, okay. Aragon moving into the corner here with Voston as well. Revel has oversight. He's warned his teammate. He's not going to be able to do too much more. Carrillo, though, able to find Eric on the first, step into the bathroom for a heal as well. Another APG player goes down, but it seems like that's just par for the course at this stage. They are just adding points to everyone else's tallies at the start of this game. Alpha 7 popping off though and keeping things going. Carrillo on the corner, an indomitable Fortress keeping Virtus.pro's duo at bay.
I think the thing is here is that at least Joel gets information there's two teams in this area, and then they all regroup down towards Yulin. So they could push north and hold out both these squads if they wanted to. Virtus.pro's got a similar situation where they got an outpost over towards Stadium that they can refresh their players from. But Alpha 7 definitely weathered the storm there. It was not easy versus R8 in particular, but R8 also back up to 4 players. And Murray, though, looking for a little bit more. Doesn't quite find it. Carrillo hits the deck, but will get rezzed fairly quickly afterwards. Let's take a look at what's happening over towards the circle on the northeast side. Great start from Thunder Talk on a 2-2 split, which they quickly regroup towards a central position. They're holding high ground with Sighting, as well as Sing towards the lower end of things, just providing scouting capabilities towards that southern side.
That river that sits in the middle of this circle, Blank, has some really difficult crossing points. I mean, we saw just how treacherous those riverbanks can be yesterday on our Rondo game, but in general, there's not the easiest time where maybe on a map like Erangel, when you're crossing that central river, the riverbanks are a little bit more forgiving. I feel like there's a lot of verticality on the Rondo riverbank. There are obviously some places where you can get across, and obviously those bridges will be an option, but it's going to be pretty tricky for teams who haven't already made it to go straight through. So I'm expecting quite a lot of wide wraps from teams in the southwest.
I think getting over towards Ryan is probably the best idea, and then you can wrap down towards DRX's position, potentially take some high ground for yourself. But it does depend on this next circle, right? Because if it does shift down towards the southwest here, like you're looking at Test Track, you're looking over towards that hillside on the west, we head over towards Hwasing. I think that this is actually fairly rough in terms of position of play. And GS, though, still going strong versus Geeke here. This fight has raged on for quite some time.
It shows no signs of slowing either. D3S wants to hop out with the auto shot. Wow. Doesn't find the first, the second, not so lucky, but there is still that trade around corner. Actually, only one player now remaining for Geeke, I think. No, for GS, just Jafar. He's been in these spots before. We saw it against APG down in the C block fight that we saw in match 2 yesterday. And now he needs to find Kevin on the corner. The recall beacon just outside is beckoning, but he needs to get through this hurdle first. Kevin's running low on ammo, but he has got the other weapon in the back pocket.
Nice.
Jafar handles him though, not even going to be able to loose a shot his way.
Yeah, that was a fantastic play there from Jafar. Some great baiting as well. I mean, both players had 0 meds to work with, and they would have heard each other using them. So Jafar just baits out the scenario, waiting for that desperation play. He has a full sweep on the edge as well, where he can swing wide. So it's really, really smart maneuvers. Wolves here going up against Regnum Kaya. Now, there's a lot of talk about Regnum Kaya's day yesterday, which, as we all know, was pretty poor. I think losing a player pretty much in the early moments of the map each time definitely hurt them, right? They were playing as a 3-man, multiple maps, and they just couldn't get much done from there. But Regnum Kai usually uses that day 1 as a big study day, though I was a little disappointed in the performance that they put up. I thought they'd get a little bit more than 19 points overall, but already Rondo starts fairly decently in a strong central position as well.
I'm liking the little pop-ups on the tower graphic on the right-hand side. I don't know if you've clocked it, guys at home, but if a recall does happen, we saw it just on the Wolves tab there. It will show who has been pulled back up and when it will happen. A little gold flash appears on the right-hand side of your screen. So if you're watching and we're not on board with your favorite team and they're looking to get a recall on board, that's how you can keep track of it. You'll see exactly when it happens, so you're nice and up-to-date with everything.
Igor just going over towards E Arena right now. Joker was pulled out yesterday for NC2. Learned his lesson, apparently. Come back into today looking a lot more fresh. Getting the initial pick off there onto Wolves. I mean, E Arena didn't play terribly yesterday. I just don't think that they had these massive moments. They were consistently towards like those later portions of the game, but I think it's mistakes like this, right? I think they get step 1, step 2 correct, and then step 3 is where they fall short. I think that when it comes to thinking ahead, they don't really have that right now. When they make this push, you're playing on the hillside, you're not worried about the backside angle. Again, in a global lobby, you have to worry about that. It's imperative that you worry about that.
Ooh, Circle pops down towards the south, gives a little bit of a favor to Regnum Kaya potentially. Orangutan on that southwest side as well. Looking at the teams on the south, though, it's a bit of a difficult run up here for teams like Alpha Gaming, who have got all 4 of their players alive. They did manage to get those recalls on board. And Arena, who are moving very, very close. It's going to be pretty stacked up on this south edge with Kara as well, maybe poking their noses in. And a few teams yet to move as well.
It's been an incredibly odd start for Alpha Gaming. I think that it's hard to say whether it was the correct decision or not. Personally, I don't think it was the initial 4-man split. Like you said, I think you were giving them a lot of credit for what they were attempting to achieve. I think that that's more coming from the fact that they had such a bad day yesterday. They were feeling very worried coming into today. And then this first 12 minutes has just been about getting a 4-man towards that late game, which is where typically Alpha Gaming does shine. Is if they have a 4-man towards that 18-minute mark, they're very good at sweeping. But we just haven't seen that because they've been torn apart by teams like OG yesterday in that final match. I don't think that APG is feeling very confident coming into this day. And unless we get something insane over the next 3 games, I'm not even thinking that APG gets into top 7.
Yeah, gonna have a tough time of it for sure. We'll see if they can bring something to bear in these next 2 days. DXavier, they've spotted at least one of the players from Alpha 7. This is up on the north side flank, coming down from around Heme Town on that north east side of things. Alpha 7 struggling to get through. They got the Mad Bulls ahead of them as well. Not only are DXavier going to be harrying them as they try and move forwards, but they're going to have to deal with that too. The recall beacons not long in this game, so opportunities starting to dwindle to get yourself back up to 4 players.
Yeah, we are really lacking on those recall beacons. The only one still available is probably in Alpha 7's camp over towards Muhapan. I think that potentially Korea's able to pop that one off, but Mad Bulls is set up on a lineup right now. Takes down Guizao and Obscure, so leaving just Korea at the recall beacon to get the rest of his team up. But they will be dropping in with limited supplies. I'm kind of concerned right now for them. 5 elims on the game. It's not terrible. It's not great either, though.
See those recalls popping up there. Wolves moving through as Ulf managed to get into this position nice and early on the plateau, but will they be able to hold it? The first is good. A double spray down across the way. No, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but Ketch is able to find another. Coops goes down. They lose one on the off angle here. Scarface has been knocked, but the Wolves are no more. Taken away on the approach. You can't get up the top there. Ulf able to beat out the Wolves on that hold.
So funny, it's the 2 Wolves logos going at it with one another. You know, the 2 packs are scrapping in the meantime. Though I think that Max brings up a really good point on the desk is that the Ulf does feel very weird right now to me. Rondo actually was one of their best maps that they played. They were fantastic at it overall. And I think for Ulf, there is this issue that I think it is confidence-based because they went from being kind of lackluster when they were playing under the name of Fireflux to suddenly this whole new team with Aaron on board, with Matcat out, and then coming to Globals. I was
guys, please like, share, subscribe.
Used to seeing with just incredible long range control, and especially having such a good time on Rondo just was not meant to be yesterday. We'll see if they can pick up that performance.
Ooh, the Guardians not playing well for DRX. They people trying to move into the area. Alpha Gaming actually fairly successfully taking a decent chunk of it. A big nade comes through from Reapers as well. That's going to find 2 of them, just leaving So Easy down on his last legs here. Last player to stand, and his bridge position. Alpha Gaming has been able to achieve. I mean, fair enough. You know, to be able to salvage something like that. From a game that started the way it did for them. And with 2 elims, they do have a lot of teams that can crest over the ridgelines, take shots at them. The question is, what teams want to do?
Recentering up on the circle a little bit now. I mean, Mad Bulls on the northern side. It's not a terrible spot for them, but they are a little bit exposed right now. Regnum Kari playing things slightly slower over towards the western edge. You can see here already a nade goes through, able to find good damage over towards Tudica. Likely a knock and a flush comes through off the back of that one. But Tudica is just crawling backwards as fast as he possibly can. OG playing things out smart down towards the southwest side. just biding their time, and I think that's fair enough considering you're
ये
VP
साले
ahead
जोन
of
में ही
you.
होते हैं
They can
TT
try
वाले
and
तो
cut out any control on the south side. There's no reason to move right now.
Kara. Now on the east side, we saw them trying to crest that ridge line over towards the Alpha Gaming position in the center of the gardens. And now they're going to have to move off of that hilltop. You can see Poser poking his nose in, trying to establish some kind of inroads for them. I think it may just be a crash onto an Alpha Gaming spot, but GS are going to move in parallel to that. It's going to be messy in the middle there. A difficult time, I'm sure. DX Xavier, they've moved in from the north side. The Mad Bulls have been leapfrogging with them. And Paragin will be the player to go down, but there's an answer, and it's Regnum Kaya to third party out to the west.
Fair enough as well. I mean, Regnum Kaya able to gain a lot of control over that northwest side. Mad Bulls continuing to take damage. Loxy finishing off some of the final players there from Mad Bulls. Just one of the last left alive now. In Pusher, who is hiding in a field of Doritos.
Oh dear. I've had dreams like that, I'm pretty sure. Xavier, though, a bit of a nightmare. With the nades bombarding them behind the tree trunks, but fortunately they're just stepping into the cover at the right time as the trucks to be excavated beneath their feet. Mad Bulls put them in the ditch.
I mean, I don't know how long Mad Bulls survives here. I mean, they've smoked out as much as possible, but even so, that's a little bit tough. Now we're looking over towards our final circles. With Ulf playing this high ground, I think they have a great chance at this game. There is equally E Arena, who needs to do a lot of work now to control over towards that northeast side. OG continues to put presence over towards the northern edge. I think they understand that Regnum Kaya right now is probably their biggest threat, and Silas is continuing to poke over that way and see what they can find off the back of this. He is recalling the rest of the team now down this way. They have the high ground advantage. OG initially taking shots off to R8 on that southeast side and getting caught off guard by Regnum Kaya. There are shots coming through.
Loxy looks for a second and finds it. The backline now down to one. Just a tanky there, looking for the shots, and does manage to clock Silas. Only one player now as the flushes are confirmed for Regnum Kaya. Silas unlikely to get res here, Blake. I mean, they could put him in a vehicle and see if he can get on forwards, drive him on in, but I think it might be more worthwhile to just send your 3 players away, not try and spend that time, because look at this approach. I mean, the tanky's managed to make it to a rock miraculously here for Orangutan. See if he could survive and out for the final moments. We know they are able to do it. Let's see if they can do it this time.
Yeah, trying to survive on that side of the map. Slightly underneath Ulf, though, so a little bit of a dangerous position for them, but I don't think Ulf is too preoccupied with that right now. They're looking over towards Mad Bulls and making sure they hold out VP in the process. So it's a good play from a tanky. It is a little bit of a risky one, but if it pays off, then he's able to get quite far into this game, which is nice to see. Regnum Kaya, though, that is a decent start. 27 points now. So already 8 points on the game here on Rondo, which is massive news for Regnum Kaya. Starting to catch up to teams at the middle of the pack. And a nice start to the beginning of the day is really huge for a team that struggled yesterday.
That's what you need to be able to find as well at this global level. Finding that resurgence after a bad day, very, very important. Although sometimes you don't have that opportunity, especially when it gets to the smaller numbers of days, smaller numbers of matches that you're going to be playing. For now, though, we saw how much work they were able to do yesterday. Right? So many points. And getting so close to what we expect the bubble to be already in just one of their 3 days. Nice. Is a beautiful turn up. Silas was picked up, but maybe not for too much longer as he's crawling back behind the deployable cover there. Looking for another res. They are in this zone. Virtus Pro might try and put them out of it, though.
You can see their VP looking to try and push further up. These nades are getting very close. There's a good chunk of damage. I think that Regnum Kaya is kind of lucky that they don't lose too much damage on their side, because the nades seem to stop a little bit from VP. They want to hold them out for a little bit later in the game there. There's no real chance of getting too much more utility going forward. So you've got to be a bit conservative now going into these final moments. Good shot over towards Ulf as well from Regnum Kaya in the midst of all that, by the way. I don't know where that came from.
Silas very close to bleeding out here. Might in fact get flushed. I think he does Oh, I think, has he gone down? I think he's down entirely there, Blank. It's going to be very close to the wire. Might be just about getting rezzed. Can't quite make it out on the screen there, but that's a nasty little turn up. And I think it was actually R8 who did a chunk of damage from that off angle to be able to seal his fate. Oh no, I'm seeing 4 players alive around Kaya. Maybe the res was there after all.
Yeah, it did come through. Tanky, though, knows this location. Looks to send some nades over the top. It's a pretty nadeable position, but he has limited sightlines on this with the rock in front of him. But a great nade over the top will take down one player from R8 there. With limited vision as well. It's a great arc on that one.
Brilliant little find, but will he have drawn the ire of too many around him? Mad Bull's feeling the burn as Regnum Kaya roll them down. 2 players fall, and that will be them done and dusted for the match. Regnum Kaya seem to be on the warpath here. 8 elims already. Let's see how much further they can go.
Yeah, I think for Regnum Kaya as well, it's important to consider that when they were playing on this northwest side, they would continue to get knowledge, to get information. Silas is great at that type of thing alongside with Wild, where they were consistently wrapping out in the vehicles. So they knew sort of what was going on up here. They knew Mad Bulls were a much weakened team, so they wrap upwards. They don't really want to get stuck in that situation alongside with VP, but a nice nade from Soez over towards Thunder Talk will take down at least one. Doesn't quite have the angle yet to confirm onto it. But I don't think Thunder Talk really have too many options here.
Yeah, really don't. They're starting to run out. Barrel getting a little dry now. Sighting wants to peek over the top, but you know how dangerous the hump of this bridge is. We'll see if so easy. He's going to be able to do it. Not quite connected through the smoke. 2 players run around behind, and a nice little flex out for Thunder Talk. Will anybody spot it? Regnum Kaya will have heard the shots. They'll be looking. You can guarantee that much. We'll see if they're able to find it. Doesn't look like they will. Maybe a little bit of time for Thunder Talk to play with. Amori now, the last player for R8. He's not going to find it. Another player goes down. A Sakura falls. Tony K as well. This hole has just been a blast. A little assist from Ulf on the off angle. But how has he survived that?
Yeah,
What a hole on the inside. Don't think he's going to last too much longer, but that is a great little clip for him.
I mean, Amuri in the wreckage of broken vehicles, but sharp as the scrap metal around him, looks to put a little bit more damage on. Quick Molotov over towards Joker to try and confirm the elimination point and get some more underneath the belt. Has a little bit more to work with. Smokes out front side. Can't believe Amuri lives through that. Moment off in the distance as well. Not likely to even try and attempt to get near him. Throws another Molotov, and that should do the trick. I don't think he got the flush over towards that player, so he's looking to confirm it, but he's already gone.
He's not there. No more. Not a morsel. Surviving next to a tanky for Orangutan. Both of them hunkering down, trying to lock it in for their teams. Get a couple of placement points on board, because we are now into placement point territory. See if Ulf can survive on this push.
It's your bro. Hello, hello. I like Martu.
Might be too tall an order. The north side shift does keep the tanky end. I can imagine that APG are going to be trying to bear down the bottom. Amori already feeling the brunt of it.
I mean, after game, this is what we're talking about. Get them into a 4-man position towards the end of the game. That's where they can start sweeping a little bit. But there is consistent angles that are being available here. It's such a rough scenery to play in, where any little mistake in terms of sightlines that you leave for yourself, you're going to take damage from. Regnum Kaya continues on their mission to take down the entirety of the northern hemisphere of this circle and doing fantastically at it. They've already put in a lot of damage over towards already limited a lot of the supplies, but now VP makes their ramp up over towards that north side, and Regnum Kaya instantly is responding.
They're moving back on over. They sent a lot of their players out to that east. Quite nicely. Full reset. Tanky finally may actually have to stand up and take a fight, but the nade is just too strong. Doc had the run out as well, and it will be the end. 6th place, locked in, 1 elim for Orangutan there, and they will not be able to survive into the later portions of this game. Thunder Talk make it across, and they will be able to do so with 2 players. They still got a backstop to deal with, and a player knocked as well. That just came through as a res, so they're up as 4 once more. But can the other 2 rejoin?
This is great damage coming through from Sing right now. They have to drop down the tactical covers, try and keep themselves up, but a double in the back line will take down 2. Sighting walks straight past the nade there, takes it on the shoulder, and Doc now has to do the impossible.
With only one player standing, Doc needs to come up big for them to survive for a longer into this match. Another nade put on top. It's going to keep the pressure on, but the res is going through all this while. In the meantime, over the northwest side, Virtus Pro and Regnum Kaya starting to pop off. And it's Regnum Kaya to hold their nerve. Only one knock seen, and nobody's in a position to capitalize because Ulf are more preoccupied on the southeast edge, looking towards Thunder Talk. That is going to be them done and dusted. Regnum Kaya on the north edge, looking to try and get the reset, but there are still shots flying their way.
I mean, for Regnum Kaya, though, it has been a hell of a day for them already. Loxy does go down as he attempted to move further up. This is great management and good control from Ulf right now between two separate squads. They have the high ground, they're trying to work with it. Smokes are flowing through right now, but you can see 0 nades on the cards for the boys on Regnum Kaya on the top of your screen, but I think that may be a lie, I'm not sure.
Well, they've done well. We'll have to wait and see if they're able to loose any. Certainly would be a great boon to them.
Ulf's got nothing.
Ulf are completely barren on the old supply cupboard there. Regnum Kaya actually able to clock a shot over towards King, keeping Ulf safe. Scarface might have gone down there with just a little moment longer on that spray from King, but he is denied. Regnum Kaya able to save him. Scarface back up with that first aid kit.
I mean, for Ulf, they are definitely struggling in terms of utility, in terms of gear. Scarface playing this close as well is dangerous, but it's necessary. Has to be done to keep Regnum Kaya at bay in the coming future. I mean, Thunder Talk off an insane day yesterday, a pretty difficult crossing for them. I think the most surprising thing about this game is Thunder Talk being on 4 players at this stage of the game. I think they must have been knocked more times. I don't think once used the recall beacon during this match, which is even more impressive. So I think this has been fantastic from Thunder Talk. Now it's a question of whether they can actually close out the game, or will Regnum Kaya sweep through with their 3 players, because crossing this open ground is very difficult. But Thunder Talks have 13 nades to do it, but no smokes, which is the critical factor, which Regnum Kaya, they've got all of them.
They've been hoarding them. Yeah. It's all or nothing. Ulf have found a nade from somewhere. They've been able to pick one up from a box, but catch. He's going to be dropped down by King, and the 4 players from Thunder Talk trying to take down the off-angles from Ulf as Silas actually gets spotted. Nice. He would have gone down if they hadn't have taken King out on that spray. Oh, they're regretting that decision now. Thunder Talk, though, mounting the pressure. Regnum Kai, I think they were up on 12 elims. We'll see if they can get a couple more, because Eren not going to be able to defend in the face of the onslaught from Thunder Talk. Zedwolf breaking out wide, and the 2-piece here for Regnum Kaya needs to be impeccable.
I mean, I don't think it's possible. With all these nades available for Thunder Talk, it is going to be so difficult. You know generally where they're coming from. Thunder Talk looking to take yet another game in their favor. Zedwolf and Wild will have to pull out something extraordinary here if they want to win this one out. I find it highly doubtful. Wild sending all the way on the side, but them using this little cliff towards their western edge, their advantage. And now it is Wild in this 1v4.
Oh, they isolate it. They all move up. They get 1. Wild looking for the spray. You're right. He's managed to get 2 here. Maybe able to give them the slip. This is the final zone. It closes central. Wild, if he can hold the central position just long enough, maybe the blue zone will put too much of a hurry up on these reses. Zedwolf does get flushed away, but a 1v4, I just don't think so. Wild looks for more on the angle. King steps up for the challenge, and he's good for it. I thought he might have stepped a little bit too far there, but Regnum Kaya falls.
TT वालों ने वो हांगकांग इनविटेशन सीरियस ले लिया बड़े ट्रोल हुए थे.
One day they want 2 at the top of the table.
I mean, it was a crazy run out from Wild, but you got to respect that Thunder Talk already had sightlines down that way. Knew that Wild probably would be rotating to get the clean lineup angle down the edge of that hillside. So really, really well done. I think Regnum Kaya can be pretty pleased that game. Not quite getting the chicken dinner does feel slightly rough, but overall, I think that was way, way better than yesterday.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of elims for Regnum Kaya on that match as well. Able to do a lot of damage to the lobby, picking up plenty of points. They'll be happy. But Thunder Talk, I mean, really, really close. I mean, they're pretty close to breaking the 100-point barrier already, Blank. I mean, with the elims that they found.
Yeah, I think they...
I know. थोड़ी ना रख सकते हैं थोड़ी वाला रख सकते हैं TP 100 टॉप किंग ये तो हो गई क्वालिफाई
serious note because it just doesn't help the team. So hopefully they can fix it. Hot Jukes is in particular APG because they can't afford another bad day here. They need to step up. They need to make military base their own.
Let's make it happen as we take it on over to John Allen and Blank for match number 2. Well, you know what? We are
in particular APG because they can't afford another bad day here. They need to step up. They need to make military base their own.
Let's make it happen as we take it on over to John Allen and Blank for match number 2.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, you know what? We are...
Hello, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello.
Well, guys, it looks like we're going to wait a little bit longer here to get into the next game. So, you know what? That gives us a little bit more time, Max and Neptune, right? To get...
Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4.
Other hot drops we're going to deal with, Max, right? So what do you think is going to happen here in Erangel?
Really, except for the APG GS team, I think hot drops were pretty clean. Nothing really happened, so I think we're chilling on that front. I think we're okay. I'm actually going to be paying attention to Virtus Pro and A7. We know they have some drops in common. They have Northern George Pole, they have Lipovka, and also VP tend to drop into Milto, which could be a clash between themselves and DRX.
Hello.
And how the playing goes in particular.
Hello, guys.
Them. But Alpha 7, Nipture, I'm looking back at yesterday's Erangel games.
Are you?
Their rotations were so pristine.
Can you hear my voice?
Quick. They would get in a circle before anyone else and in really good POIs typically. So are we going to see that same Alpha 7 in these Erangel games? Yes, I think they're really going to solidify a high rank in the top 7.
I mean, I would love to see that for them. It's something that they're desperately needing, and I think they're going about it the right way. You're right. The timing has been pretty impeccable. They've been doing everything they need to do, taking advantage of the teams they need to take advantage of. They're really really well so far. That doesn't always translate into points, but what I always love seeing is a team that you can see what they're trying to do. You can see what they've got strategy. They're not just doing it randomly, and they've got ideas. And so for a team like Alpha 7, who are obviously a very good team, but have just been struggling lately, it's nice to see that we're actually seeing a team that is like, no, we're on the ball with these rotations. We're on the ball with this timing. Yeah. It's very hopeful.
What I'm really hopeful about is not just the rotational potential of this team, right? I mean, especially for you, Hodrix, covering Americas, but it's so cool seeing the rise of Guizhou and Obscure on this storied roster, on this storied org of Alpha 7. And last game on Rondo in particular, oh my goodness, they put up such a great showing versus RA, and even I think there was a potential third party happening from APG and Virtus Pro in the wings, and they were fully ready for that. So this is Alpha 7 2.0, and I'm here for it. This storyline which has been built up in front of our very eyes here in the Gauntlet stage is beautiful, and this is Brazil stepping up with a new generation of top-tier players that are here to claim a trophy on the global stage.
I mean, you heard Rebel say it himself in the interview with 7, right? He was just like, you know what? I think they already surpassed me. And it's crazy to see just how well these other players are doing, right? Just kind of looking at some of the player stats, right? Obscure, yesterday, he got 10 eliminations, 12 knocks. The player below him, Guizhou, with 5 eliminations and 4 knocks, right? Carrillo had 4. Rebel had 3 eliminations, right? So Obscure more than doubled that of his second teammate, and that's Guizhou, right, back. So I mean, Alpha 7, we know what these guys are capable of. We saw it in Erangel, right? They love that rotating to the hard shift side, kind of what we just saw Regnum Karia do in this last match, right? They did that, and they're doing that twice, got a good game under their belts. So when it comes to Alpha 7, I just think it's about just waking up on that consistency. I want to see that a little bit more aggressive Alpha 7 here, Neptura, because I see them just kind of playing a little bit more calculated rather than that hyper aggressive Alpha 7 they're kind of known for.
Exactly, and you know what? I want to extend that point to the rest of the lobby, actually, because if we look at each team individually, a lot of them, there's very few teams in this lobby that actually play compactly, that actually play very much together, you know, kind of off to their own. many of these teams spread out and take control from the other teams. And I want to say that so far in the Gauntlet stage, we've not really seen that. None of them have been playing how I expected them to play. We're not seeing the A7 spread out into the end game, 4 or 3 players and just, eating up as much of that zone as possible and controlling it, taking it away from other teams. Kara are not doing it. OG are not doing it. Regnan really saw them kind of do it in this game. So I want to say some of that is due to everybody's kind of tiptoeing around each other just a little bit. They're still trying to get a feel for how the lobby is going to play. But the other half is these zones.
Yes,
I don't feel like any of these zones have been particularly favorable to most of these teams, because even if the zone does go towards a certain team, normally it's one compound in the middle of a field and it's kind of eerie play. So I would see maybe either kind of take these bad zones and run with it as much as possible, or just relax a little, just play how you normally play, because that is historically how you get a win.
Yeah, hey, you know what? Take me back to Raheem. We had a Pachinki circle finish. You know what?
Dude,
give me some of that spiciness. That would be really fun if that happened. You're gonna need Xavier to perform potentially, but yeah, circles have been a little bit. Very open-ended, I would say. They're not ending on any big POI. Ended in nothingness, and you could see the ring. I think you had Alpha 7 just like there's literally no way to work with this kind of terrain at the end of the game. I'm hoping we do get some like more city or compound-centric finishes. I think that's going to show a lot of rotational potential from teams. Who's gonna get there first? Who's gonna play defensively? Who's gonna be trying to initiate those crashes? I want to see a bit more variety on it, because on day one, Hodrix, I would have to say it was a bit one note to me. I want to see more variety from some of these teams, depending on, of course, how the circle tends to go.
Depression में चला
I think we're
जाएगा.
gonna definitely see that here in day 2. I think we did already in Rondo, right? We saw some of the squads that underperformed yesterday go nuts, so I'm expecting just absolute craziness.
Yes, Saudi Arabia
because every team knows kind of how the end of these tournaments go, right? There's going to be quite a few squads that are going to be so far down the leaderboards that they don't have any chance of making it to the top 7 here max, right? So when that happens, typically the last few matches are not typical of what the whole tournament was like, right? The teams that are not going to make it are playing super loose, maybe they go crazy, start pushing everybody, or they're just like, hey, you know what, see you guys in the group stage, we'll make something happen from there, right? So I think considering that, Max, teams more than ever just realize how important it is to put points up here and now rather than waiting to the end of the game, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's going to be changed up quite significantly into this. But I want to go a little bit deeper on what you said about the later stages of the Gauntlet change significantly, Hodrix, because I think it brings up a very interesting scenario where, because you need to be in top 7, right? It's very forgiving if you're in, let's say, top 3 in last 2-3 games of tomorrow. Like if you're looking at Thunder Talk, Mad Balls, R8, maybe Orangutan. Are we going to see a situation where yes, I am talking about potential hot drops, just as a theory. Just to have a conversation. Orangutan, if they're very comfortable in top 7 heading into tomorrow's last few games, and Alpha Gaming are still struggling, do you get rid of them to clear up that position for the grand finals? Technically, that wouldn't be a bad shout.
I don't think so.
She's so silent. She fully agrees with my point. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a hard one for me because I don't normally love that tactic. For a couple of different reasons, I don't feel like it really does all that much, because if a team is, yes, if it's like, a few points away, whatever, but I don't always love it. But then we're always talking about teams that are further below trying to ruin, some potential chances for teams a few places ahead of them, where here I think in this instance you're talking the other way around, right? It could work. It could, just try and solidify their dominance in certain situations, right? It's like, we're gonna hot drop you in Chumacera again because you're not doing well, and we want to make sure that going into the finals you're not gonna drop here again. That could be something that might be worth the effort, because otherwise I just don't really see the point.
Yeah, I'm mainly talking for the fact of clearing up a drop location for the finals.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a long-term incentive to do it. For example, you can also, I brought up OG and APG because it's the funny meme one to bring up right now, right? But otherwise, GS team, I think a lot of teams want to try and get rid of them, such as maybe APG if they're able to climb up the rankings a bit. Alpha 7, Wolves want to try and get rid of them. Maybe even GK because of their Rondo drop location. Again, that's dependent on what the leaderboards look like entering into tomorrow's 6 matches. So yeah, definitely, you've got to keep in mind that if you're not you could be in a little bit of trouble, because if you are sharing a drop location, chances are that team does not want to share it going into the finals, where again, you're fighting for the lion's share of $3 million prize pool. So I would backstab some people for that. Hell yeah. Maybe not you guys.
That's a lot of money.
You guys, you're safe.
Yeah. You know, a lot of money on the line here. And you know what's typical? You know, I honestly, this is one of my biggest pet peeves about competitive PUBG Mobile, right? Is we don't normally see squads like do these crazy drops towards the end, right? Which is what I would do, because I'm like, hey, why not, right? We have such a huge lead. We can do whatever the heck we want. But for some reason, they continue to play the kind of like the same game they've been playing, right? But one thing that I think really makes a big difference, Neptura, is if you want to take out a squad, you could just say, let's go ahead, and if we get into a fight with them early on, hey, we could just make sure they go out. We could take them out no matter what here towards the end. So I think those mid-game fights, things can get a lot spicier, Neptura.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? You want to take a team out on rotation? Absolutely. That's minimal risk to yourself and all the damage onto them. I would love something like that for that to happen.
Well, let's see what's going to happen here in match number 2. First air gale of the day. Let's take it on over to John and Blake for match number 2.
And you know what that plane means. We are heading into match 8 of our 18 match set here. And day 2 will continue to unfold. We put the real weapons to rest. Don't worry, if you're not a fan, you're not going to be seeing them here on Erangel. We are going to be back to basics here. So APG, you can't be losing all your players right at the start of the match. That's a free bit of advice.
Very well done. It's good advice as well. Necessary advice on a map with no recalls. But we are heading from the western side, direct south plane path from the north down towards Ferry Pier. A little bit more difficult to head over towards the eastern side of the map, but Alpha 7 getting up nice and early over towards I guess you could call it a slight Zaki, not George split that I like to go for here. RA also out early. Consistently being in the vicinity of Alpha 7. Seems like it's a bit of a grudge match going on there. And Thundertalk dropping very, very close over towards OG on the north side.
It's potentially dangerous for OG. Top of the tables. We've seen
Saudi Arabia के दोनों टीमें इधर ही जाती है.
OG a little bit isolated from them in Saverni. It may be that Thundertalk try and grab a vehicle, head out to the east coast here. Getting stuck into
military base का नहीं गया जो.
Without the circle being confirmed, especially now.
मेरे को लग रहा था.
Because we've got a military circle. Yeah, immediately there's the vehicle icon. On you go. That might mean that the hot drop on the south side might get
GS वाले कुछ अलग ही गया.
It's going to be a military island circle here.
जो GS वाले कहीं भी उतर जाते हैं. जो उनका मानना है.
Dropping down towards the southwest here. Instead of dropping on military base. So APG should have this all to themselves. Wolves, you can see here, getting themselves into vehicles and maybe moving across. But that is a heck of a lot of teams already on Sosnovka this early, sort of predicated by the fact that the plane path was so southern. And on the western side, you have to split across the entirety of the map. And that includes the South Island. So quite fortuitous for teams like EK as well as Virtus Pro, who don't normally drop down in this position. They get a really good head start, but also that makes crossing on the western side quite difficult. And I think for Wolves, this is a somewhat of, I might call it a mistake. I think they were so close towards that south side that maybe they should have shifted over towards the east, understanding that was a little bit of an easier one to go for. We do have an in-game interview coming up shortly, but in the meantime, we're going to keep focused on the map here. I think Kara makes the correct play. Currently, they're rotating on the east bridge, and I think that's the smarter play here. There's going to be a lot more space to work with going forward for themselves, rather than get themselves mixed in with Virtus Pro as well as GS.
Let's head over to the stage for an interview with Reckon Kaya.
Welcome back to a quick report with the
military base वाले जोन में बड़ी भसड़ मचती है.
PMGO winner Silas from Regnum Karya. Silas, yesterday's performance was very lackluster. What was the main thing that you guys changed from yesterday to today?
Valla bugünkü performans pek iyi değildi. Dünden bugüne ne değiştiğini biz. Aslında gün yeni başladı. Neyin değiştiğini gün ilerledikçe göreceğiz. Rondo'yu biraz çalıştım.
RJ वाले की बात
O yüzden bu maçı güzel oynadık.
So it's just the starting of the day, so we will see later what we change. But I personally actually studied Rondo personally, so we will see what's gonna happen.
And talking about Rondo, I mean, Thunder Talk getting their
Gaya
back-to-back
bhai.
win. They win the last game yesterday. They win this one. Is that a team that is also causing you issues? Maybe going into Erangel?
Only for
Rondo'ya
clutch.
Tanrı Top güzel oynadı
Coming.
bugün de. Sizi zorluğa çektirdi.
Sare
Maçı
आ गए.
çıkarabilecek daha.
Yani ilk gün havaya alıştık diyelim. İkinci günde çok fazla, yani bugün çok zorluk çekeceğimizi sanmıyorum. Bugün daha çok alışacağız. Sonraki gün daha çok alışacağız. Finale çıkarsak da tam bir şekilde hakkını vereceğiz.
Yesterday it took us to get used to the Rondo, but right now we will practice more onto it and make it better. And if we can make it better, finally we will redeem it.
All right, well, I'm hoping the performance here in Erangel coming up is going to be good. Back to you guys.
ये क्या हो गया? Play नहीं वाली.
Well, there you go. We heard a lot from Regnum Kaya, but we heard a lot from GS in the picture-in-picture, if you guys were keeping track of that. They clean wiped Virtus Pro just then. That's pretty great. Big fan of that. And Regnum Kaya, they're going to go into the drink for a swim too.
Virtus Pro going out like that, fairly unfortunate, I would say, but very, very well done. Really, really big plays there, and that clears out a lot of space for them as well. On the map, they were down towards South Africa quite early. Going down in 6th place as well gives a lot of opportunity for teams like DX, GS, Wolves to overtake them and push them out of the top 7 now going forward. In the meantime, we've obviously on a long approach from shooting range all the way down here, but so many teams already making that cross early on. Regnum Kaya also making the swim, but so many vehicles will already be taken here because there were so many teams on Sosnovka early that Regnum Kaya likely for the rest of the game will be moving around on foot.
Yeah, it's very picked clean. You're right. It's just the bones left on that north side of the Sosnovka Island. We'll see what they can do though. They may be able to nab 1 or 2 if they're lucky. If they can get close enough, we'll have to wait and see. E-Arena, they're going for the bow take to the south side. This is going to potentially be uncontested here. There's no one really overlooking this beachhead on that south edge. The rear duo for E-Arena as well. They're playing very, very split. Also on a boat rotate, so they'll be joining up with their teammates fairly soon. The Wolves managed to get through nice and early onto the military island. They are just south of that observatory mountain. They've crashed into the compound on the south side, southeast point of the military island. Now, a lot of teams have made it, but there are a few who haven't. R8 actually very slow to move, and they're still looting, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, go off, Kings, I guess. It's an interesting maneuver, and you can't really fault it too much at this point in time with how they're playing. I mean, I just need to wait and see. I personally think this is a little bit late. It's very late, in fact, from Thunder Talk. And with the amount of teams that are already down on the Southern Island, I mean, getting in there at that point is going to be very difficult. I think maybe the plan is just to get as looted as possible, as much utility as possible to make that bridge crossing doable. But I don't know. But you can see here, Regnum Kaya, as I said, no vehicles on foot, which is what we expected to happen, John, but it doesn't look fun at all. I mean, hearing a vehicle at any time and having to drop the deck here, this is some very sad gameplay where you pretty much have to hide it out as much as possible.
I mean, you've got to feel real jealous as well of teams rotating past you in vehicles. You're like, oh, man, if only we had that. We could do super well this game. And Regnum Kaya looking to convert on their last match as well would be a brilliant result. As we're looking over towards those bridges, actually the crossings so far basically uncontested, Black. I mean, it's only Virtus Pro who have gone down, but that wasn't on a crossing position. That was on just a fight for a compound once the crossing had already happened.
It was.
Only 5 teams remain to cross. That's what they're looking for at the moment. Mad Bulls, R8 off in the distance up towards South George. Alpha 7 just passing Lepovka now. Orangutan as well. Getting past Prison, past Shelter and Milter. The bridge on the east side currently, I mean, it's Geeke, right, who are going to be overlooking it from that observatory mountain.
I think for Geek, it's actually a really strong spot to be playing. We've seen multiple times multiple teams win from that position on the map. It does require you to get a bit of an eastern shift on the circle. But this is already quite eastern anyway. A lot of water off towards Novorabnoya. So it's likely it's going to cut back in towards the mainland. So there's a high chance that it ends up around Observatory in the end game. I don't mind Kara's position too much. I mean, what they're doing is actually just holding out teams like Alpha 7 who are going to be coming in from that side. Still no sign of Thunder Talk just yet, by the way. Still on the northern side of the map. Looks like they're bowing out this match, it seems.
You know, they've been playing so much more than everybody else at this point. You know, they needed a little break. They're making their way down from Stalba. It is still stage 2, but those crossings, I mean, especially now, you've got to wonder if Thunder Talk are going to be able to make it. That southeast coast is going to be lined with landmines for them to step on. They try and make their way in there. Wolves now in for a fight with GS potentially. GS were able to win it. Oh, against First Pro. Will the Wolves, who are just behind them on the tables, be able to do what First Pro could not?
I mean, for Wolves, there's again, I think they have a similar issue to Virtus Pro, where we're not seeing them respect a lot of sidelines in these matches. That's the thing that worries me, is that yes, the gameplay is not too bad, the rotations aren't too bad, but there's a lot of these moments where they're making some careless maneuvers, which I would like to see improved overall from quite a few different teams. I mean, Alpha Gaming even falls prey to this as well, where I don't think they're respecting other teams very much at all in these matches, and I think that's what is coming back to bite them. Like, even that last match that we just saw in Rondo, there was a lot of good chances for them to really kick off and start having a great game. Unfortunately, because they kept taking shots, kept taking these angles which were open to the likes of Virtus Pro, open to the likes of Thunder Talk, they slowly blew out players. And I don't think that was great, because from the initial moment, you know, the 4-man split was weird. And then getting further into the game, I was like, okay, there is a 4-man, this doesn't look too bad. But yeah, it ended up being quite disappointing, honestly. But we'll wait and see. I mean, they get to start in Millie base this time. No contest, other than Regnum Kai, I guess, who are on the north side, just trying to live this game out as long as possible. Maybe trying to find some set of wheels, basically, Joe.
That is kind of the name of the game for Regnum Kai right now. If they could pinch one that I'm sure that Alpha Gaming have on board, that would be brilliant, but position being known there. We've seen this from Alpha 7 in the past, Blank. They've taken to the skies. They are going to be heading over in the glider around on the east point here of Novo, trying to stay out of render distance of everybody else. Looks like they will be able to. For just a little bit longer. Very dangerous place to land, though, because Kara have outposts all over. You've got to think they're going to spot this, and if they don't, somebody else will.
I mean, Kara absolutely should be able to look at this one, but you can also see that Alpha 7 is currently trying to play out a render distance as much as possible here. You can see that Obscure and Guizao is going very, very wide here down towards the south side. I think they're trying to look for a point where they can make their way in, but the amount of teams that are littered along the southern coast, I think it's going to be hard to find a runway and land here. I think most likely it's going to be a crash landing from Alpha 7 in the near future.
I mean, you just don't expect the north side of Novo to be open, right? Like, it should be landing there if you have a map feed, like we do, but that's really difficult to call. The swim as well for Revo and Carrillo, that might draw the attention of Kara. It could prompt a little relocation, but Alpha 7, I mean, I'm seeing them approach from the south side in that glider. Wolves are going to take shots. GS are going to take shots. This is going to get nasty.
Yeah, it's always an interesting thing watching like high-level gameplay at an international scale, because everyone has the same idea. I mean, they were able to get up. Egos only have the pump shotgun, gets a little bit of damage done, but there isn't any backup right now, which is not ideal. Luckily, able to find one with the angle off the side from Coops, and that's Revo going down. Now just Obscure remaining as they all crash into this one. It should be a quick cleanup for them. But yeah, I think that it's interesting looking at this at an international level. Everyone has the exact same idea, is that the south side is where most teams are going to make their cheeky rotate through. So everyone litters down there because they all assuming that each other are going to make that same maneuver. The only team that actually falls prey to it is Alpha 7, but alas, they were coming in from a long, long way away. Again, no sign of Thunder Talk just yet. They're still traveling, like Frodo Baggins right now, on their way to Sosnovka.
there and back again. Goodness me. They are really going to have to get in fairly soon because it's getting to be the blue zone's going to hurt a lot. They started obviously in Stalber. They were slowly rotating down. Also, R8 were struggling to make their way on through. As Alpha Gaming seemed to have spotted Regnum Karya making their way on foot. And unfortunately, I think Regnum Karya, they've lost a player there. Far from ideal. And they'll be playing on as 3. Still fairly split and still very, very slow.
I think for Regnum Karya, it's a rough one. I mean,
OG को बढ़िया एंट्री है भाई. Mid phase वाले जोन पे था ही नहीं कोई.
Earlier to an eastern crossing. I don't think that the swim is that bad.
सीधे जोन में और compound
under the
भी है.
assumption the circle is so far off towards that east side that it's likely going to center up on observatory, which it is currently doing, by the way. So we were correct in that assessment. I think that you have to risk the eastern crossing as opposed to trying to play on the beachhead and the three building compounds around that area. I think that's what Regnum Karya are trying to go for. It's a very European approach, I'll say it that way, but I think in this instance it's not correct.
Yeah. Different decisions to be made in the future, but military circles always fun.
Oh my god!
GK getting the shift. Oh,
there they are.
I think I've spotted what you've noticed. They're on the map. It's
Thundertalk.
are going to be holding them out. The circle goes still towards
उसी
Geeke's
के पास
favor
अभी भी
on that observatory
compound
mountain.
है भाई.
Let's take a look at this bridge camp because the health bars on
अरे
Thundertalk
बढ़िया
are going
TT
to
वालों
go
को
here.
खेलो है.
They step out and
दोनों
immediately the
बढ़िया.
first goes. The next as well, looking for the spray down. The backup from across the way as well is good. 2 players now stand for Thundertalk and the blue zone is hurting.
TT वालों को ले गए.
I think the craziest thing about this is that OG expects the team to be rotating at stage 4.
TT वालों ने वो भी नहीं किया होगा, कोई नहीं होगा बीच
It
में.
really is. But fantastically done. I mean, Aru's on the ball here, waiting for Thundertalk to approach, and that is the top squad going down to 1 player from OG. Very, very well played. And now they can figure out how they want to move down. Because you'd assume at this point for OG that there isn't going to be another team tailing Thundertalk. If they were, it's likely Thundertalk would have had to have fought a little bit earlier out on the coastal side, in which case OG would have heard it. So this is great in terms for OG for clearing that northern edge, understanding that now they can push south without worrying about their 180. So very smart.
They managed to take 2 players down, but there is still a little bit of life in Thundertalk, and you can't count them out. A big flex out came through from Orangutan, from OG, both sides, with Scott and Tanky moving into position to try and pick up the scraps on the last 2 players. They couldn't find the angle. Thundertalk able to keep it under control for their final 2 players. And this is so open because of all of the teams moving to that south side. It's what you were talking about earlier. Because of the teams all putting pressure down south, that ability to move is what OG have capitalized on there well on that north side. Now on the south side though, it's going to get mucky because the Wolves at the cliff side, they're moving off and they've already been slowed down. They've lost Batten. Doran needs a res. Coops is pulling them back to his feet, and you can't spend too long out here. The blue zone really starting to hurt now.
Yeah, basically instantly have to get that bandage off, and I think for Wolves it's pretty much over. I think Kara set up a really nice lineup here across the hillside. I think that Wolves is pretty much gone. Egos is likely to go down as well. At this point, Kaido, it's one of those situations where do you just
अगर TT को मार देते हैं तो बस फिर next up करने के लिए कोई नहीं बचेगा.
Thundertalk with their 2 players look to put a little bit more hurt over towards OG, but I don't think that's happening.
Last play बचेगा.
Spray down, King spotted, and a Tanky able to clock the shot. AJ last to stand, and OG have only got 1 more domino to fall to take down the top dogs. Spray around the corner, not quite fully connecting, but it's going to do enough, and it will be closed down. The roll down on the crates as well. OG want the spoils of victory. Pulling that into the back pocket, they'll clean out the north side.
Yeah, that's clean. Very clean. So now OG has a huge amount of control over the north. Doc moves up, does get shut down by Mad Bulls, but R8 is still having presence within this engagement. Reefus seems to be the last player alive here for APG. The DPS should do the trick as Lemon weaves in and out of the blue. But now R8 look to weave a very different picture for Mad Bulls, one of dread and ruin as they move over the hillside.
Trying to push in on the western edge.
ऊपर
The
नहीं
route
जाना चाहिए जो
out of that military base is treacherous. Alright, they're going to fold back, look to res Marth. Madballs disengaged. They're sending across, heading towards DRX and the remnants of DX Savior as well. Close towards the middle. We're not going towards the mountaintop this time around, Blanco. It is going to go down south towards GS and towards this ridgeline that we're seeing being fought over fraughtly by Kara, who are keeping their nerves together here.
It's definitely not easy for Kara, the movements they've had to make, the decisions they've had to go through, but they've done well. I mean, Ulf is definitely their biggest target in the future over on that eastern side, but even they are sort of held out by the angles from Geeke. Now, the circle does move away from Geeke on that observatory, so they need to find as much information as possible, decide where they're going to end up in the future, because they have to move now, and it's always difficult getting off from the top of observatory. Madballs somehow stay alive with their two players, get to the south side of this compound that currently DRX are holding, and I think for DRX, a lot of fans are hoping they do well in this game, because it has been a pretty abysmal start from yesterday for DRX. A lot of games where they're just not able to get through that mid game whatsoever, and I think that has been the most worrying thing from watching them, is that mid game. It's just a lack of life from that squad.
Getting through that mid game, always treacherous, and it's where you earn the majority of your points on the tables, right? It's getting past those mid game situations that starts to earn you those incremental 4-5 extra points that you need per match to really sit up and amongst the top dogs. DX Xavier trying to hold the sliver of a ridgeline. You can see there's players above them as well from Ulf. That is a really tough spot, but I think DX Xavier are going to be safe for quite a while. Geek actually more likely to pull the trigger on a fight.
Geek वाले क्या कर रहे हैं? इतनी height पे बैठे हैं अभी तक.
Geek needs to find something. I mean, down towards Ulf is likely their best bet, right? They can still play high ground angle and then try and sweep down towards that south side. OG is met little resistance, and DRX actually moves off from that northern position on the compound as OG appears. So this is a very, very sneaky moment from OG to get into the circle, and then find themselves a strong position off the back of that as well. The question is whether RA's been watching this rotate and if they'll be able to find some shots towards them. But again, so far there's been some fairly well calculated decisions from OG.
OG वालों को दिखाते ही नहीं
against Sakura. Did have a good old look there, spotted the horse, but didn't see a leg, didn't see an ankle or anything peeking out. Geeke, they're going to take shots over towards Ulf and back them off the angle. Actually, Ulf putting more pressure in towards the middle. Nice stuff, nice find, but that could all come a cropper if GS takes shots out their way, if Ragnarok has his say as well.
I'm very impressed that it's actually not R8 that takes shots over towards OG. It's OG taking shots to R8, actually finding a Mori here. And they don't have a lot of time to pick him up because the circle is enclosing. No, R8's put in a very, very difficult position. OG knows that these two players are on that north and west side.
I thought he was sending it there. I think he was breaking out. Two of them trying to flex through, looking for that regroup, and they find it. They manage to pull themselves back up, grab in the vehicle, not go for the res out wide. Instead, use that little defilade that they've now been able to claim. Prestige backing out as well, back up to that high ground. Wants the long have to move back in with the circle shift. Ulf as well, putting pressure in. A potential scout towards GS. Ketch will get that info back to his team.
And for Regnum Kari, you've been able to get quite far into this match. I mean, only have one player left remaining, and that's Wild, but Wild is typically the lone survivor for the squad. OG really taking good use of this hovercraft. No one's really looked at them, so they're having this hovercraft far into the late game is really quite a big deal. Nay's starting to pour out over the top now. A little bit of damage surely should be done, but the Nays just bounce a little bit too far. Nay swings back down to the top side, dribbles down just a little bit. Another one goes through, more damage on towards OG now. One player fairly low in Aru. And R8 can maybe leverage this, but a good off angle right now from OG is keeping them at bay.
Another nade, another knock. There's no punishment really being seen. A return finally. Marth goes down. There was a third party as well, I think, from Geeke on the high ground to take a shot over towards one of the players from OG who has now been flushed away. trying to flex out. This is where the off angle from Prestige really needs to come in clutch, stopping this fight. The smoke's over the ridgeline. They want to keep this momentum going, but R8 back off the angle. The nade's not quite connecting where they need to. Mars potentially? No, it goes too long. The cook not quite right there, but that one's good. Atanki sends it back his way. And Aru again, so low, but not going down just yet.
That is a cracking grenade from Amori over the top towards Wizgod, who's trying to get that off angle towards them. They've laid the smokes down, trying to keep R8 back at this point in time, give them the heavy hand. But right now, it's just not working out. Wizgod likely to go down. Finally, Prestige enters the fray.
Moves in from that off angle. That might actually give OG an opportunity here, but another flush comes through, and R8 now into a 2 versus 4 in their favor. Atanki needs something big, but he only gets one. There is no answer for the backline, unfortunately. Aru out in the open, caught with his trousers down there, and R8 are going to send them away. 5 elims though on the game, Blank. That's a pretty good result.
Yeah, it's not bad. Gets them back up towards 4th place now, and there really isn't anyone chasing them too hard on the tables. Alpha 7 went down as a VP as well as Wolves earlier on, but there is now teams like trying to make up points with this massive point vacuum at the top from Thundertalk. These things get very messy towards that top 7 towards the end of today. Ida finding Solus as well, so R8 not done quite yet.
जो मैट वाले पता नहीं इधर कितनी देर से सरवाइव कर रहे हैं ना इनको कोई देख रहा है.
On the 70-point tallies, we're talking a lot about Thundertalk's security in towards those finals, but over those 70-point margins, that's also looking pretty safe, Blank, all things considered. They've done a lot of work.
जो तगड़ा डिफरेंस डाल दिया टॉप 3
the effort. And at the moment, they're way over the average that they need to be able to see themselves in those finals. 8 elims so far this match, and they want more too. Marceau hops out, looks for the flush, confirms that one, locks it into the bank. As DXavier hold their divot, they've been in there for a long, long time. Okay, not gonna pan out.
I mean, Kara's played this game phenomenally well. I think that's, you can't deny that. From their initial hold towards Novorabnoya and then the slow sweep down towards the south side. It has been a real patience game for them, and at times really tough, but they've done well off the back of it. Lewis finding catch now as well from Ulf as R8 looks to assault that position. They really only have one option here, which is to try and send down to the rocky outcrop on this south side before they head over towards DRX. DRX has had a bit of circle look, and no one really has had a shout in, but similarly DRX hasn't really found any points from this position whatsoever. Likely the thing is that if they go down in 2nd place, this game will not be as profitable as most would think. They sort of need to finish this game out with a chicken dinner if they want to have a decent performance off the back of this one. Otherwise, it is just sort of another meh game back in their pocket.
I mean, he's got 3 more nades, but finally someone takes a look out his way. And that is going to be the shutdown. And DXavier will fall finally. 5 teams now remaining, Blank. And DRX with this center position. Kara, they've moved 2 players up here. They'll need to regroup back down to their bottom side too. And push in a little bit closer. They might be able to hold the top of the rock for a little bit longer though, and maybe they'll be able to farm some more eliminations. I mean,
Kara being at, what is it, 14 eliminations now is very impressive. I think the R8 likely are our utility because they had to throw everything in the kitchen sink to take down OG. They were very resilient during that engagement.
GSK player की HP तो देखो, एक नेड जाएगा मैं 3 किल
how much they're able to steal away from OG, and that's one thing they certainly did steal away is the hovercraft, which is going to give them a little bit of safety going forward, and especially in these final moments. Again, because OG held on to it for so long, it didn't take any shots. Now it's super useful for this late game as a bit of maneuverable cover. That's a long nade. Feels like the bounce is not too bad, but GS does go down to the circle itself. Aaron gets shut down by Marth, who's just been on a tear all day today.
3v3.
Huge elim count being racked up still. They want more for Kara, and it's going to be Marth actually starting to take those shots out the way. See if he can take them down, but R8 lost a player crucially. Amori got flushed out on that situation. Could not make it any further. I'm surprised there's still nades in the pockets for R8, but they've got at least one more here. They want to try and find the opening to Kara. DRX, they've got everything on side right now. It is a question of who's getting 2nd place in my mind. It's going to be
second place के लिए होती है fight
out of this one.
Yeah, I mean, for TRX, this is a freebie game, right? They haven't really done much whatsoever.
TRX
These are one of those games that just gets gifted to you now and again. I think that, again, praise should be going through to teams like R8, teams like Kara, who have manipulated the circle very, very well for themselves. Maybe even I'd go ahead and say OG on that north side. I think that there's like those three positions of Kara down on the east, R8 coming through the west, and OG on the north. But for DRX, yeah, there's not much to be said about that squad.
I'm surprised that they haven't moved anyone up to the wall yet, or moved out a little bit. They're kind of allowing ground here, a little bit. Maybe timid, cowards. No, definitely not. That's a bit too much. But I mean, it should be theirs under control. They know that these two teams outside can't really move up unscathed, but Kara are going to give it a go. They're going to have a crack at it. Poser up first, and they slink out wide as well. With
I mean, what is that?
Moving on in. There's a knock over to Hyunbin. I mean, yeah, that definitely shouldn't be happening here.
For
that res, and that might allow Kara even more leeway. See what CEO's getting up to the wall now. Things are starting to get a little bit dicey as R8 have the pressure of the blue zone pushing up towards them. This is the final zone blank, and it will close dead center on this one. It does go inside the wall, which means that Kara will have to cross that boundary if they want to win this one.
Yeah, I think that they hope during that knock, I mean, two angles is all the DRX has there because one's taken up on the res, that they could finish out this fight as quickly as possible. The blues being a big issue, CEO able to hit a nasty nade again. I think this is a massive game for Kara going forward. Another nade goes slightly far, bobbles just a little bit too much. That's a wild nade coming through, goes straight out to the outer edge of the zone, but smokes is all that's in the way between Kara and R8 in this moment. And finally, DRX starts to make a move.
Kaisei flexes out to the wall there. The angle spotted though, and a nade immediately put towards his feet, and he has to dance out the way. DRX starting to get low on nades. They've only got 7 left. They're up to the wall as well. They've allowed the entrance to move on in. R8 will go down, but it's Kara to do the dirty, and they will find 2 more eliminations on their tally. A big nade from CEO. DRX, they're allowing this to go through, and the smokes there covering so much of their sightline.
I mean, the big difference right now is Kara is incredibly hot.
DRX
feeling very cold off this game. They've not done too much. It's the 4v3 and the 19
welcome back.
This game the Crows are flying strong here, but they take initial knock. They're trying to get the damage done. Hyunbin alive for the time being. The bullet scraping his backpack.
Not quite able to finish the job though. They swap over to the next vehicle, and it leaves Poser as a solo. DRX finally able to keep themselves standing. Hyunbin gets the res. 1 knock is all they'll find, and Kara denied the 20-point Ilium game. They will go down in 2nd place. DRX able to hold their nerve right at the end.
Every single buckle blown off the back of that backpack in those final moments for Hyunbin. But the fact that he stays alive actually is the thing that gives him the chance, because so much time was wasted there for Kara versus Hyunbin. I think if they get that knock, there's a potential for a 3v4. I think Kara is really feeling.
Hey, Kara. Abba. OBS Korea. हैं? यार स्क्रीन है बंद हो गई मैन. ऑडियो आउटपुट कैप्चर किया. 아니 미나 그 것도 아이. 야, 이거. 아, 또 왜? 네, 마이크. वो मिली भी नहीं कर रहा ना अरे बकचोदी है क्या कह रहे थे कौन सा हाथ नहीं भाई नहीं ये गलत बात है भाई यू आर रॉन्ग ना कुछ
क्या कर रहे हैं हम एक दूसरे को लेटवा
तेरी मारा तेरा पैर चौथा
टीवी
great yeah
Hey bro, what's up?
भाई
Hey,
भाई
करते भाई बंद कर ले स्क्रीन कर लो तो बंद हिंदी का ना ये नहीं थी भाई हिंदी ना आई थी बढ़िया आई थी ओमी टीवी नहीं चला था ओमी टीवी में करता कैमरा को माइक बंद करता है चलो तो
for us because that last one was a bit weird, honestly, overall. But we are heading over towards the eastern edge of the map, around Rozhok, Potato Hill area, just south of Yaz. So still Yaz Field in this one, John, but plenty of fun compounds to play this one out.
Yeah, we are going to see maybe a little bit of a diversion for Thunder Talk. Of course, they are close to Kara, though, so maybe a little bit of danger there. In general, we'll be keeping an eye on that Milta area. The circle a lot more centered towards that Potato Hill zone in the middle. A little scrap for Alpha Gaming, and actually, they're going to be able to win this time at the start of the game against one of the players from Wolves. They can't quite get there in time to pick him up, as Coops will be taken down. We are going to be heading to a little interview with Poser himself from Kara after that incredibly massive game. 19 elims. Let's find out how they did it. Oh, maybe not just yet. We've got about 20 seconds before that one. But either way, they are going to be tuning in for it. It was incredibly monumental. They were on for maybe a 23 elimination chicken dinner blank. But
welcome back to a quick report with the 7WG. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new record for eliminations in none other than Kara Esports. I have Poser here with me. You guys were working those 2-2 splits wonderfully this last match. When did you decide to go to E-Arena?
Bu son maçta 2-2 oynamakla çok güzel oynadınız. Ne zaman Arena'ya üstüne saldırmayı düşünmediniz?
Nova'nın içindeyken alan bizden çektiğinde Arena ile oynarımız aynıydı. Ondan sonra ilk önce kıyı temizledik, sonra da onları temizledik. Adım adım iyi oynadık.
So the circle actually go on our gameplay with Arena. So when we saw that, we first clear the edge and then we jump on them.
And with this performance, I mean, it's going to shoot you up the leaderboard. What does that mean for the team?
Valla bu puanlama sizi sıralamada üst kısma çıkarttı. Nasıl hissediyorsun bu takım için?
Şu an özgüvenimiz daha da yerine geldi. İhtiyacımız olan böyle bir maçtı. Henüz potansiyelimizi göstermedik. Daha yeni başlıyoruz.
So we got our confidence backs up, and then with this, we will show our performance that we can do better.
Hey, I'm hoping it continues on. 19 eliminations. I know the Turkish crowd is going to be hyped. Back to you guys.
Absolutely. It would be brilliant to see if they can carry that forwards. It is, however, very rare to see teams have two performances like that in a tournament. It would be something special, but we can always hope. Thunder Talk, though, they've definitely had more than one of those performances. It is a rarity.
Thunder Talk, definitely a rarity in our games overall. 100 points, hit the century. Weren't able to get anything done on the last match, but again, they hit triple digits and fought themselves. Let's take a short break, and we'll get right back to it over on the next angle here. Let's take a look at the leaderboards right now. There is that big jump off from third place down to fourth, with Mad Bulls in third place, dropping down towards Kara with 55 and OG at 51. But as you can see, it's around 10th place where we see our next real big fall off from 44 to 37. So there's a lot of teams battling out for this top 7 here. And it should make for an incredibly fun final day tomorrow, where all the teams could be dipping in and out from that top 7.
We get a little replay on Doc getting the spray down onto Coops. They couldn't quite get away unscathed with the vehicle. Doc happy to have that point on side. A nice pickup found there. As we hop towards the middle of the circle, though, we're on board with Regnum Kaya, who have managed to take a very, very central compound. Really important position as well, with a lot of sightlines out to control of the teams who are very likely going to be moving in fairly soon. We're now into our 6th minute of the match, and we'll see just who's going to be on the road nice and quickly. Hopefully, yeah, Thunder Talk, they're already moving, so we're not going to see another massive delay until, what is it, like zone 8 or something like that, and they decided, oh yeah, we should probably get towards the circle. R8 did it too, though, so, you know, it's not just them.
It isn't. I mean, it was possible. I mean, it was fun watching that little breakdown of the paths taken with RA really on a bit of a journey themselves down from that northwest side, starting just underneath Alpha 7 there. But having way more success from their position. I mean, even just getting on that western side anyway was very, very tough. I mean, there's so many teams there at the start of the game. I do think Virtus Pro going down so early actually opened up a little bit more possibility for space taking on the western side of Sosnovka. So some fortuitous stuff did happen. I think for Kara, they didn't quite get that benefit. They really did have to fight it out for that position, indicated by obviously the amount of eliminations they were able to pick up in that last game. We got OG here on our screens, just the western side of Shelter. Just waiting to see what they want to do next in terms of scouting, where players are coming from. Regnum Karya left fairly early from their position, headed around where Dip is. And we'll just hold that out. With Ulf coming in from that northwest side, that is something they'll have to worry about in the short future.
Alpha 7 moving in on that north edge. Over that Rostock Bridge, uncontested on the crossing. A little bit more treacherous down towards the south. R8 moving out now from South George. They're moving around the foothills of Everest, trying to head out east. Behind the Mad Bulls, though, they will, if they want to go over the north side of Pachinki, they'll have to go through the Mad Bulls there, or try and find another way around to try and get into this one unscathed. It's easier said than done. Although Mad Bulls, they're leaving players over in Sunken. They wanted to control that bridge crossing to the north, I suppose. Get a little bit of info, a little bit of scouting from Tulika on the Mad Bulls. As GS move over the north, they're heading over the north of the Yaz Lake.
I mean, I think for E-Arena, heading down this way is not too bad. But again, we haven't really seen that early game prowess from E-Arena so far. I mean, round Geek as well. Yasnaya is easily shared. With only 2 players there, I am slightly worried for them slightly. I think the rest of the team needs to get back in action soon. The Mad Bulls, though, like you're saying, over on that Western Rozhok side, coming through past school towards Chopsticks. This is always such a weird starting circle for a lot of our squads, just purely because what they're struggling with right now is deciding where they want to play going forward. Because as we head into zone 2, like, there's plenty of positions which are very, very valuable, but just not quite yet, because we don't know where it's centering up. Now we know that you kind of want to take some of these farm compounds nice and early, potentially even some of these positions underneath Potato Hill. Even playing over towards the southern side of the coast is not bad here.
I mean, it makes the decision-making process a little bit easier. The execution phase, though, a lot more tricky for our IGLs, for our teams to try and enact their plans now. Everybody on a mad dash south, trying to get into a very limited set of positions. Ulf got to be charging in from that north side, a little bit split. They've got a backstop there for Solus, trying to regroup. Regnum Kaya clashing with DRX on the inside of a compound. But you've got Ulf putting pressure on the north. You can't afford to go for a crash, as well as on the south coast entirely in the warehouses. DX Xavier, Wolves going back and forth here. Lamborn needs a pickup now. Paragin has to put the pin back in to save his teammate. Will be able to start that one. And Nate moves forward, securing it. They are on the inside. They should be fairly safe, but will they be allowed to get this res? Because there's more threat from the Wolves around the corner. And that's going to be Levi's taken out in the midst of it all. DX Xavier having a tough time on this pro.
With Paragin going down, Lambo going down there is very, very tough for DXA because they wanted a lot more speed on that one, and Levi's expected some backup on the side there. That wasn't meant to be a 1v1, that was meant to be a 2v1. Paragin getting taken out by Top, and Gara immediately picking up the elimination point for that. Goodness me. DXA and Wolves now just bottom of the pecking order right now. That's unfortunate. I think DXAV can't really leave from this building either with the 2 sightlines that are set up.
They only got 2
सुरेश की गवर्नर में थोड़ी दर्द हो रही थी, तो उसको ठीक करने गया था मैं.
They weren't able to do any more than that, which is unfortunate. You could excuse it maybe, you know, if you were able to get
here
up
is
to
the
4
Uzi.
points, right? And then no matter what, it's an okay game. You will keep yourselves in the conversation for 7th place, where DXAV currently sits right now, and they need every match they can get. We know how volatile the middle of these tables are going to be with the number of points that Thundertalk are earning. And Kara having that oversight, they'll be all too happy to snaffle away any points that dare to step out of line.
So, I mean, the center of the circle is pretty packed right now. You've got Kara and the Regnum Kari just above them, and the DRX holding quite central, but in open zone. Mapple spots the team crossing along the way. It is GS, and they're happy to chase this one down with a mobile turret in the vehicle. It's 3 players in 3 cars.
Yes.
So I think they're assuming they can take those shots quite frequently, but they decide to back it off. They don't want to deal with that angle for too much longer. And a building gets taken up by GS. It is on the northern side of the zone, though, so it is not massively likely it's going to end up there, but it will give GS a little bit of a long breath, right? A bit of relief in this match. That is
enough.
a
Doran goes
nice nade.
What a post through the letterbox there on the nade. Beautiful stuff. The stamp. CEO able to hand deliver that one. Lovely stuff. Able to pick up the pieces as well. Now they're going to have to move a little bit further west potentially. I mean, Kara should be able to hold this angle. We'll see if they're able to do so against Thunder Talker moving in on that coast side too.
It's hard to make the correct decision on this one because as we head further down towards the south side of the map, it slopes downwards, right? So you don't really want to play those positions. I think Alpha Gaming actually has a very good chance from their spot. They have a lot of high ground oversight here. The issue is they're going to have to play that late game a little bit more aggressively as Circle probably will move away from them. I think R8 has one of the more fixed positions inside of the circle. It's a lovely compound to play around with. Leaving it is slightly difficult because you do need to wrap around towards that northwest side. But in this instance, it's really good because I don't think they're imagining that it's going to be a hard west shift on the circle. So this just gives them nice 180 oversight towards their eastern edge. And that's a lot of information to be gained off the back of that one. OG making a mad dash along the way over towards a small building they can potentially play the rest of the game in.
Actually diverting one out to the shack as well. So they have got multiple angles. A run-up made a little bit harder because of that. With 4 players alive, I'm only seeing 3 in the middle, or maybe they are all 4 packed in. We'll have to wait and see just how they can hold the dead center here. They're in a little bit of a valley blank, so it is very much a standoff. They are committing to this location. It will be very, very difficult, if not impossible, to leave it. So they need to get the value in the mid game here with Elims.
Yeah, I think it's a risky play, but it's high value reward if this does continue to center up because it's very much open ground around them. Like you say, leaving through the open ground is treacherous, but if they have to deal with teams walking up towards them, it should be a fairly easy hold. So I think for OG, it's a case where you play this position and like you say, you are just committed to it now. But it is fairly central. They had no real other options other than playing sweep on the edge. And I think they're more comfortable playing this anyway. They're quite decent when it comes to holds. So we'll see what OG can do from this spot. It's a slightly early commit though at stage 3. But because it is so dead central and in a compound, I think you make that call here and there.
GS
Angles over towards Virtus Pro, the rest of GS as well. They moved out to the north side to try and have a breather, but they're being crushed down a little bit here. Virtus Pro have to turn around. They don't want to get stuck into that anymore. Little sweet drift there for Virtus Pro. Maybe they're reorienting. Maybe they do want to get stuck in. Okay, no, they're just biding their time and leaving tire marks on the grass. Someone's got to look after that. That's very inconsiderate to the groundskeepers.
Is indeed.
Next, OG had to center.
Undertalk playing down towards the southern docks as all 4 players. There is a chance it does go down towards that south side.
PT wale फिर से जो उनके
the
center में
greatest and latest of positions, but with a little cover and a little positions available in that spot, Docs is not that bad. And the question is how well you can hold it as a solo team. It does get to those points later on where you end up sharing that position on the east and the western side of it, often leaving the warehouse open as it's a bit easier to nade out. But I think that for Thunder Talks, this is a good spot to play in going forward. Now, OG has an option now because most teams are going to have to wrap around on the east and the west side. Is whether they want to move a little bit close to the circle, play out in the open with some vehicles, or just stick to their guns.
Yeah.
Refus on the inside, not going to win that one. The Arena able to find an immediate shutdown. Alpha Gaming not in a position to go for the backup there, and Ziol caught out in the open by R8 across the way. That's a couple of 100 meters out there. A long shot coming on through. In the meantime, Geeke, Regnum Kaya clashing on the inside here. You've got DRX on the north of this fight too. Those nades are coming on through, but it is Regnum Kaya to draw first blood. However, it's faded off. Flushes need to come through now, and Safji will be able to find it. Unfortunately, it is taken down in the process. Kevin on the outside, though, looking to try and hunt down more Regnum Kaya players here as he steps forwards to Loxy. Low HP on Zedwall. Not really step too far in, but with a shotgun to play against, you know it's probably not super likely that you're going to go down through the consistent spray. Regnum Kaya, however, go down to DRX on the approach, and that is going to be an overwhelming force from DRX on the north side. Not timid this time around.
I think the craziest thing is Kara gets a shot in there, by the way, from all the way down. In that short moment of time, I think they'll be very pleased with how that one turns out. In comes Ulf over towards Thunder Talk's position. over towards ThunderTalk's position. Again, like I said, this is a large area, difficult to hold as 4 players, and they're trying to gauge where exactly the ThunderTalk players are currently. Luckily for ThunderTalk, they always have this angle up top side. APG doing a good job to protect them from any target that comes towards them, and some fantastic nades are being lobbed up their way to secure some more points.
Goodness me, Ulf, they try and move into the hills on the north side of this compound, but they're denied entry. Everybody with the third-party angles. Eren, though, has actually managed to make it for the south side, so last player alive for Ulf.
Hello.
In the meantime, Doc now has more arena players to worry about. 3 players actually taking shots out his way. You can see the rest of them trying to move through. He's forced out wide and taken down as soon as he moves. Sakura clocks him. And now Top has to try and find something in response because Doc is not getting back up.
They notice there's fighting going down on this side, but it seems to be only one player, but already currently in an engagement between them and VP. One player left alive for R8 and nowhere near this engagement. It's Prestige looks to send some Molotovs in. It's a good position to throw them out, but VP immediately moving forward. Mori in the backlines in the shack, priming a nade of his own. It's a long toss on it, and big gamble, but doesn't hit on target.
Prestige down in the smoke has been spotted now. Voston keeps his head on the swivel, spots the player down in the dirt, and leaves Amori the last to stand for R8 across the road. And actually, OG are moving in on that north side, so that could be a big problem in the future. I think Alpha Gaming did just go down. Arena able to finish the job as the circle goes back towards the center of this one, leaving those cliff tops out of it.
Yeah, I mean, OG can continue to play on this north side, but again, it's this question of where do they go next. I mean, luckily, because they cut out so much of their position on that northern edge, they don't really have too many teams watching in of where they're going to be maneuvering next to. I do like the way ThunderTalks is currently playing this, though, is where they're not splitting up into a singular area on docks, because they don't want to give an opportunity for a team like Ulf there to swing all the way around and crash into a singular part of the docks. Instead, they spread across it, they take fire as teams come in, and then rely on teams playing on the cliff to basically do the job for them once they lodge them on that hillside just the north of it. It's an interesting play, and it's working out very, very well for ThunderTalks.
Arena going to have to make a move, and maybe ThunderTalk will take some shots out their way, but I think Virtus Pro are going to be more preoccupied with holding them out. Maybe a drop down the cliff face, maybe go for a swim here for Arena. Tourniquet certainly taking that option. Question is, will they be spotted? Alpha 7 biding their time on the southeast side, but they do have to make a charge across the open ground here towards Mad Bulls, or well, what's left of the Mad Bulls rather. There's only 2 still standing there.
Game's going to slow down a lot, but Kara actually has a very strong spot to work with. There are 4 players as well looking for another huge game for themselves. They also have been consistently taking pot shots at teams, so they've been very proactive from their position. Even if there is a squad 200, 300 meters out, they've been very aware and been taking shots that way. And the more casualties that they can cause within this lobby, the easier their end game is going to become, because again, as teams start to get crunched towards the center here, more and more fights are going to be taking place out in the open, and these are not fights where it's likely you're going to live with 4 players. You're likely going to have to sacrifice 1 or 2 just to win an engagement.
So seeing they're actually stepping out onto the docks for ThunderTalk, and Eren laying low, not wanting to get involved. May have sightlines on it. The question is, does he want to pull the trigger here, expose his position? Tourniquet moving up to the pontoon there. Trying to hold it down. I have no doubt that Eren knows exactly what's going on here, and he is opting not to take these shots. He just can't confirm the point. It's much more valuable to play with the protection. He steps up and he wins that? How on earth do you win that? Stepping up out of the water, draws the weapon, and immediately lands the shot of the Shing. That has got to feel real bad on the south side there, and that's going to move King out to have to go. And he steps up and does exactly what he needs to. That is what he was waiting for. ThunderTalk are having a nightmare here.
Oh, this is very bad indeed. ThunderTalk likely down to 2 players. We're seeing it's going to be a difficult pickup from their side. Completely lost track of Tourniquet as well. That's one of those things where you only send out 1 player. You know he's in the water, so you look to just finish him off, but you do not expect the 4th player from Ulf to still be alive on the other edge. On the docks. And Undertalk are currently dealing with the tsunami. Okay.
Side shift. They have to push out, so they're going to have to leave here as well. This does mean that they can just fully disengage and look to leave these solos to their own devices, but that's going to be difficult because you've got Virtus.pro and Kara who are going to know all about what's happening here.
Quick knock from OG down towards Virtus.pro. I mean, it's a good time to be doing it as the circle starts to close inwards, but Voston with an immediate response over towards that top side, gets a good shot over towards the tanky, leaving just him and Aru there. And the question is whether Virtus.pro even want to go for a wraparound on that side. I mean, OG has to call for some slight reinforcements here.
I mean, it is good news, I think, on the north side for OG. And they've got enough to play with that cover, that re-knock over towards Virtus.pro. They didn't need to get the flush there. They just needed to slow Virtus.pro down, force them into an unfavorable fight. Tourniquet may have bit the dust, and he will indeed go down to the nade from AJ. Down from Thundertalk, and it could have been worse. But Eren really bided his time well there. He played the time perfectly, and actually maybe afforded an opportunity to have a chance to get another point or two.
Yeah, currently we're in the top 10, so 3 more teams would have to go down before we start hitting placement points. DRX holding on to their position quite nicely as GS attempted to assault their position. Hyunbin on the top stairs, looking for Icon right now.
In the meantime, the roll-up Virtus.pro is getting dismantled on that northwest side. Unfortunately, there is a knock sent back over towards them. GS finally going down there, but it is going to be OG holding quite well. The reses, though, are starting to come through. There's the first flush coming in, and there is, unfortunately, the re-knocks coming in from Virtus.pro. They stop, though. They move sideways, move laterally on the fight, and OG not going to be able to connect these nades if they haven't spotted it. Will they put them in the right place here as the nades bob forwards? Target. Haven't seen the retreat here, but now have another team. The vehicles swinging around wildly. What is going on? OG, move in. Get these knocks.
HP देखो TT.
going down. Thundertalk still stands tall, but OG, they've taken a knock. What have Thundertalk just done? What?
I mean, DRX were taking shots across the way at OG whilst that all was unfolding. I don't know how Thundertalk gets away with it, but they absolutely do. AJ with the rundown vehicle smearing VP across the fields. And now AKOP trying to get his HP bar back up again. A nade sent across towards the tree, slightly lagging behind the rest of the team. A nade sent along the edge to blue here could be devastating. And it is close, but not close enough.
अभी भी जो है अरे यार ये नेटवर्क की आवाज चल रही है
Not going to be able to find it there. Going to allow Thundertalk to disengage. Play on us 3 from here, which is crazy. Kara going to allow Thundertalk to disengage. Play on us 3 from here, which is crazy. With the circle as it sits, they keep in on the south side, and they may be able to find a chicken dinner this time around where they couldn't quite before.
Yeah, it's a very strong position, but again, we are still going out into open ground now. I think OG's going to be a little bit careful because DRX knows exactly where they're playing from, but know they need to move down towards that south side, so DRX looking to set themselves up early. Just rotate into the building along the way from Kara. Lewis does have a nade. Marso sets himself up. It's a bit of a short look, but it's on target. Soez gets knocked out with a nade to the forehead.
Hits him with the swift underarm there. Nice little knockdown, nearly getting Hyunbin the pan. Clutch there to stop the DX Xavier shots. The shots from across the way, taking him down on the rooftop. A really difficult res to go for. If you have to drop down, it's bad news. DRX have been able to get a lot of elims so far this match. It seems like they heard me call them a little bit cowardly last time around. They're already up to 10 here, blank. They want to add 4 more to the tally. See if they can break records themselves as they move on forwards. The flash comes through. The nade goes through to the back. Hyunbin goes 1-for-1 on the trade. The DRX have the flash sent their way. Drops down in the middle. Lewis holding the back lines, and there's only the one player for DRX faced off against 2 on the inside.
अरे DX वालों को भी मार दिया.
Thunder Talk just rocked straight up over towards DXAV and handled them. This is so weird from Thunder Talk considering it's a very different style of gameplay from them we're used to seeing. Good nade from Nate T himself over towards Singh, leaving Thunder Talk, I believe, just on the final player now as OG remains stalwart on that north side.
Can't get the reses in the shack for Thunder Talk though. There are still 2 of those available. The question is, does DXAV have a nade? Stow Kara on this hold. Poser is down, but they're getting that resed up very quickly. DRX slowed it all the way out here. You can see they're on 10 elims still, but with only 2 players, the wind's been knocked out of them just a little bit. UXZ wants to try and drop down there. He will get the shot. Over at the Poser, the re-knock is strong. Gonna keep Kara from overwhelming them on the repeats here. He goes in for more. He wants to find another. But there's his teammate going down. Lewis steps out, put into a shotgun. A barrel straight into his face. And Lewis goes down as well. They will finally take him down, but they lose a player. Fast blank.
Thread it in towards the shack, but a good shot from AKOP will take down Sighting almost instantaneously as well.
Let's go, Team India.
I'm gonna figure out how they want to play this one out because again for OG they are passing through open ground. I think for Thunder Talk they desperately want to get rid of DXA, but Nate immediate reposition from his side. This is a good survival play for him. Again, DXAV has been on the
PT वाले हैं जो कैसे ना कैसे करके survive कर ही लेते हैं देखो
a truly dominant game from DXAV just yet.
Yes, disappointing as well, given their prowess, given their record this year. They've had a really strong showing, but it's just not coming through yet in the Gauntlet. We'll see what more they can do. Nade's being thrown out by Thunder Talk still.
It's good.
Right, they got anything left and they find an opening. You're kidding me. Thunder Talk just seem untouchable here. Nading out of the tree, doing a lot of damage. That's going to be unresable now. The rotate outline, AKOP needs to stand tall. We'll be able to do it in a second as well. The double knockdown, but across the way, there's still a 3rd player for Thunder Talk going. It's all up for WizGod. It looked like OG might have had the game under control there, but Kara now with the numbers advantage.
I'm just so confused of what Thunder Talk's doing in this game. Sightings.
अगर DX वाला इधर से कुछ बढ़िया में फिश डाले अरे दोनों अरे
maybe going for the 1v3. CEO is able to put him down, fires him from the company.
1v1
but
होता
at least will be able to remain up
ठीक है
and present. WizGod moves up and
अभी chance है
able to take down Thunder Talk. Now it's a 1v1 technically as the blue continues to push in.
I think they've got time to get these reses off blank. The blue zone's not going to move for a couple more seconds. They may just be able to get through. Marso will heal. Poser will be able to get up and step out for another sight line. Unlikely that Poser's going to be able to heal though. Actually, they might still have time here. They do. Goodness me. This means a full 3 for WizGod to be able to have to deal with here, and he doesn't have any nades in hand. With a nade, this could go a different way, but I feel like WizGod might be able to find 1 or 2, but 3, I'm not sure. Marso goes out, drops the smoke train towards him. They know exactly which rock he's on. As soon as they get in range, they don't have the nades either. Steps out, and that's a little sliver of HP taken away, and he doesn't have any meds to play with. This is nasty.
Big stun grenade. WizGod just has to hide it out for the time being. But it's looking close. Can WizGod close this down? It's looking slightly unlikely. Regardless, he has been through the war zone this game and will go out valiantly. But it will be Kara to come off from a 2nd place and 19 points into a chicken dinner. What a... But they really did lack that star player on side who's able to come out with those clutch
Let's
plays.
fucking go.
That hasn't been the case for quite some time now. I think way back when in the day, it used to be that they absolutely had that capability, but that was taken up by teams from South Korea, from Turkey. Teams doing extremely well from those regions. But here, I'd say Sighting is just a really nice player to have on team, where he's just got these big clutch moments where able to get them out of these sticky situations they sometimes find themselves in.
Proud to have him representing them
BGMI
as they sit atop the pack as well. 111, and this is what we were talking about in day one, is that around 110 is where we're expecting the bubble for 7th place to be. And the fact that Thunder Talk have done it in half the time is insane. To be able to get that far that fast, it is pretty much unheard of, certainly not in a very long time, for a team to stretch out this far this early. So we are glad to be witness to it. Let's see who can keep up the pace as well, because we've got 3 teams now in that 70-point boundary, with Kara joining RA and Mad Bulls up in 76 points and actually vying for 2nd place completely.
It's good stuff. I mean, Kara right now, the fact that they went from kind of being like towards the bottom of the pack to suddenly now challenging out R8 for 2nd place is just nasty work from them over 2 games, and it just shows how quickly that these things can shift around if you just have some good games. OG currently topping the pack when it comes to the main peloton underneath here. 52 points chasing with Virtus Pro. But yeah, OG being at 61 is a pretty solid place to be in for them going forward. They still need to keep putting up those points if they want to stay ahead of the rest, because people are starting to catch up now.
It is
PUBG वालों जोन दिखा दो जोन
pace going.
वहाँ पे बना है
Done what Thunder Talk have done. They could basically sleep for the rest of the tournament and probably be okay for the finals. At this stage, Wolves, GS trying to make their way across this western bridge from the military island, but they're not quite able to find their knocks, and now back under a lot of pressure. A lot of players bearing down upon him. They will not be able to pass that one off. That is going to be Wolves losing a player. First blood is drawn.
Baton had a bit of a panic moment there. We've all been in that situation where you got 4 players all barreling towards you. I think that he didn't really quite know what the protocol was for that situation. The rest of his team left him behind in the dust, kind of providing himself a little bit of a scouting position. But sadly, not meant to be, as Wolves go down yet again to 3 players. They've not been having the greatest day today. Been a little bit dismayed by their performance. It's been obvious to see in their faces. Hopefully, they can bring things back up to speed again. For a North American team, I think they're performing pretty well in the international tournament with some of the best teams in the world here inside this lobby.
It is a big set of representation to come up against in this lobby. You're right, it's literally the best in the world at what they do here for PUBG Mobile. These are the regional toppers, the teams that came out ahead of everybody else. Everyone here is a champion in their own right. But you have what it takes to be the champion of champions. That's what it's all about here, to get out of the gauntlet and into those finals. GK currently a resounding no for the time being.
Yeah, GK running 16th place right now. It's tough. It is tough. APG not quite living up to their own expectations, because they're in 15th and not 16th after all, with 30 points. Still pretty rough for them. I think for APG, something needs to change. I particularly don't think it's going to change here in the gauntlet. I genuinely don't think that they're going to make it into the top 7. I think this type of gameplay is just not on par with the rest of the lobby right now. And it is frustrating to see, because I think a lot of people at home understand that these are some of the best players in the world. And all of them have incredibly high namesakes. But right now, it's just not meshing. It really isn't meshing. As they come into contact with Reg and Kaya, Silas looking not to go down early. Quick duck there to get out of the way of the bullets and sent his way.
will be able to stay alive for just a little bit longer there. The roll up for Silas with the nade, looking to try and find one of Alpha Gaming. Good arc on it, but they've already got away from it. And Top hops into the car last. Alpha Gaming, I don't imagine that they're going to want to push this too hard. Don't need to press the issue just yet. But on the other side, Regnum may be looking for something here. If Ziol gets a little bit too big for his boots, then I wouldn't blame him. But he does back up, slam it into reverse, hit the compound with the UAZ, and see a little bit more safety.
Yeah, still taking more shots here. Reefus even taking shots to the face as he gets inside the vehicle. Again, good stuff from Regnum Kaya. I mean, they're kind of low on ammo, etc., but they're making sure to take shots towards the vehicles whilst they can. Even that Dacia starts to smoke a little bit now too.
Getting a little bit too smoky there for their liking. Has to hop out, Regnum Kaya with a lot of control over towards Alpha Gaming, but teams are going to be moving in around them as well, so they do need to stay on the swivel. You can see Ulfa pushing in on that west side. You've got all the teams out there looking for a slice of it, but that is a big shift out to the west. Great for R8. Look at the position that's afforded them. Oversight from the compounds at the top of the hill over towards the Roswell bridges.
Yeah, that's an incredible position for them. It is a little bit tough to hold sometimes with teams bearing down upon you from that north side. But I think R8 has a good chance to make it happen. I think they just need to not get too distracted by that southern bridge. Because I think that's a trap that a lot of teams fall into when they play that position, is they get too focused on holding teams out and end up getting backstabbed. In this case, probably by GS. So I think for R8, they've got a strong position right now. Just hold on to it for the time being. But it is a hard shift over towards the western side, and teams like VP, OG, PK are all going to suffer because of this.
Regnum Kaya having a tough time against Joker on the spray down, but they will be able to get around those bullets sent their way, playing up towards the bridge. We know that Regnum Kaya can play these bridge splits quite effectively, but they haven't managed to get anyone across the river just yet. Maybe have to go a little bit faster there. We'll see if they're able to manage it. In the meantime, Alpha Gaming find another player from the Wolves, and now they're busted down to 2. The PMSL America's champions having a tough time of things against one of our, well, currently weaker teams, right? Which is crazy to say that it's Alpha Game.
Yeah, it really is. But I think that we absolutely can say it at this point. I don't think it's unnecessary to keep saying that this is a prank at this point, which is sad. It is definitely sad to say. But we'll just have to hope that they come back stronger in the group stage. And if that's not the case, well, it just wasn't meant to be.
Alpha 7, OJ.
Teams have made their way up to the north side. You see Alpha 7 moving over the top to past the Stalber Hills. Now further in, you've got OG as well, actually very close, getting kind of intertwined with this rotation of Alpha 7. And it's obscure. That land the headshot to pull him out of the vehicle. That's going to be an easy rundown for Grisao as well. No chance of getting that one back up. OG playing on his 3. And the first probe to their north, it might be a little bit of a meat grinder up on the north side.
I mean, that's really, really not an easy shot to take as well from Obscure. Like, long distance on that one. So a very, very good pick up there. I think OG gets a little bit unlucky with, because I think that rotate was kind of fine with the boys from A7 still on their rotate. I think OG's like, well, at this point we just need to pass by. But for Obscure to hit that shot, I think that's like, that happens only a few times, and it has to come through a very, very good player. So very well played to him. OG's going to have to try and go for a quick rotate over towards the northwest side and see what they can get done there.
Those 3 players, WizGod sending out as the scout over towards Carolo, and we know that they are on a bit of a tear. It is dangerous territory on the northwest side. We're going back over to the lake, though. Circle really not helping anyone out. Well, I mean, maybe except for Thunder Talk here. They are in a really solid spot on the west side of the Yaz Fields. No one really going to be able to approach them from their east side. That west side approach from the bridge is so tricky. Regnum Kaya, they're going to give it a good go, though, before Thunder Talk have managed to go for the regroup. That approach from that south side is probably the only time where they'll find it, but that wall keeps them so safe in the compound. And maybe they'll just play in the shadow.
Yeah, potentially here, John. I think for Regnum Kaya in particular, it requires very much here in terms of shots over towards Thunder Talk, Wolves, as well as Ulf as they make their way through. You can see on our screen, Wolves able to pick up the Wizard Tower.
Coops door and 2 players alive for the Wolves. Kai trying to get across, trying to play another bridge split, but not going well for Loxy. Not going to be allowed to stay on that far side. Surely they knew that was going to happen. Regn and Kai now have to play on as 3.
Yeah, I think that Loxy knew that it was happening, which is why he was trying to cross back in towards the rest of his team. But Thundertalk got there so quickly and set up so fast. I mean, the rest of the team is not even in position yet. This is an awkward circle, right? With Yaz Lake being over towards that northeast side and the river that splits in between, you know, it's very undecided where this is actually going to end up. So I think teams are struggling a little bit. I think I would prefer to be over towards the southeast side, though, just because it's where a lot of the field is. If you can pick up a position here early and it does shift down towards the southeast, you're going to have a much easier time than a team that confirms over towards that northwest side, and you have pushing over towards there. It's a little bit easier. There's more cover, more hillsides to work with.
I feel like one of the sleeper positions here is maybe bridge to the east of Rosshol. If you can get around that and stay safe for a little bit longer, I feel like you have access to both sides of the river where a lot of other teams just won't. It looks like DXavier got to try and careen the remainder of their players down towards that position, but they are drawn short on the approach. The shots ringing out from Hyunbin and the rest of DRX as well, making that a very difficult escape for the rest of DXavier. And Paragin trying to stay alive on that south edge. Kike on the northwest in the meantime with the blue zone pushing them in. Kara are their guards, and that is going to be a real tough approach. Greg and Kai chiming into the backstop for DXavier. The other 2 a little bit closer to the river. Now, OG making their dash, trying to regroup with WizGod, moving across the open ground. They manage to get through the first salvo of bullets, and they find the cover. Will they be able to survive long enough to regroup? There's already a knock. There's already a second as well. They desperately need to find some sort of cover, some sort of respite, but the shots are ringing out from every single direction around them. R8, Arena. You've got Kara as well, who are going to be putting some pressure onto this one. And OG having a real tough time of it on their approach. Not allowed at any turn, and they will start to fall, start to crumble in the face of it. AKOP, the last to stand. Nobody quite making their way on through.
He's playing dead. I love it.
Dealing the final blows. He's
actually working
right now.
Oh, damn. I actually thought he got one as well. I think it's a cool play to make because you just stop dead and you're like, I am not here. Trust me, please. But yeah, unfortunate stuff will go down. 16th here.
Will not be a good result for them. Unfortunately, the Arena somehow getting through on the hovercraft, giving themselves a nice big burly buttress to keep themselves nice and safe. Prop themselves up on. Kara moving over towards the lake because there's a lot of water in this final circle. Well, these final circles here, Blank. It is a real tough time. Keeps the whole lake in, but doesn't keep the far side of it in through the next zone, which makes it impossible to rotate around that way after the next maybe 30 seconds have elapsed.
It's kind of frustrating for Thundertalk as well because they played this 2-2 split and it actually was such an insane play. I will say though, it was very greedy, but if it paid off, they would have both been able to move down towards this southeast compound and they would have had a very good game off the back of that. Now it's up to APG to move towards that north side and pick up that compound off them. But APG still doesn't really know whether there's only 2 players within that building. And it's likely something they'll think about doing a little bit later. They have to clear Mad Bulls as well on the southwest side. Carrot's still going strong, but only with 2 players also. This is a very rough circle to play. And this is exactly why I say that you kind of want to confirm down towards the southeast side. If you were already there, you didn't want to move just because it is so difficult now for teams to find purchase in the circle from the northwest.
It is really difficult. You're right. GS, R8. I mean, it's more important for GS really to be able to get through this one unscathed. Their score tally right now very much in the throes of it. R8 a little bit more secure, and they're already picking up points towards Wolves. Already more damage being done to the Americas champions. GS going for a wide wrap out to the north now. They're trying to get around all of this engagement, get away from R8, get away from Kara, but they are heading straight towards Alpha 7.
Alpha 7's position, there's actually a lot of little bits of cover here that they can play. Skew has to hit the deck. There's some good shots initially from the vehicles as they pass by. They need to find one of them, break this train apart, but GS are able to get onto the other side. Immediately, pins need to be pulled here. GS Icon already finds Obscure in the back line. These first couple of nades have to be massive, and they absolutely are.
Revo and Guizao holding their nerve in the face of the approach from GS, but the first to fall is there. The second not so good though, and it's going to be Guizao and Carrillo holding the line for Alpha 7. One player did get taken out there, but GS, they try a wide wrap, but it was not going to work. In the meantime, plenty of damage being done around these bridges, and R8 are going to be moving out on the south side.
The Regnum Kai, it's actually a tough game to play because there's a lot of angles, at least for R8, that they could still pick up, and then R8 plays that position after them. Still so much water in this one over towards that north side. E-Arena playing this building that's slightly on high ground is pretty good for them going forward. And no one is even thinking to look over towards Thundertalk right now. I think most teams assume that's a 4-man squad there, which does give their position a little bit of defense going forward.
It's always good to be able to spike out a little bit bigger than your reality. In those situations, it is a valuable asset. APG moving into the very, very west borders of Yasnaya. It's a difficult role. Like Doc is lining the vehicle up because they do know that they need to move fast on this next exit. The question is, where do they go? Right, there's a couple of buildings further down the road. The arena are going to be very close to them, though, and it's going to be a difficult push to it. With Virtus Pro as well on the north, I mean, that is very, very dangerous ground.
Alpha 7, Carrillo will try as much as possible, but again, I think for Alpha 7 is a very, very difficult push down towards the south side to make this happen. All right, though, it's going straight for it. Xavier once again playing on as 2 players and making it work somehow. Again, I think that although they are doing okay in the points, and now they're in top 7, this sort of needs to stop. Right, the DX-Xavier duo is something that is becoming increasingly more consistent and increasingly more effective, and I don't know why. I would much rather this team played on as 4, but yeah, it's such an odd one where most times when we see DX-Xavier doing well is when 2 of their other players are dead. It makes no sense, yet it is working.
Regnum Kaya just love this river split style. We've seen it from a lot in the regionals. They are trying to enact it here. I mean, it's why Loxy was across the river in the first place to get taken down by Thundertalk. But it seems like they're a little bit more entrenched now with Wild playing there. They've got Kara trying to put nades across the river, but just a bit out of range. Fortunately, they find that knock, and that could be a huge opportunity for all the teams around to make a move, including DRX.
Alpha 7 just trying to go for the swim. I think they had little options available to them, but the duo in DXAVIA have spotted them out. Levi's and Paragon. Not likely to let this cross go unharmed. As Korea will get knocked. Alpha Gaming made a long fling over towards the eastern side, sorry.
Yeah, it's been a difficult approach, but somehow Doc making that mad dash across the open Yaz fields.
So, a bit of a self-nade, but it gets the job done.
Not great.
It does get the job. It does take down Lemon, right? Bit of collateral damage on his side. Not sure how he took 99% and Lemon took 100.
That happens, you know. Looks like he's pretty bare on the meds, though. Otherwise, you'd imagine his health bar would be a lot fuller than it is. That's the nade that'll do it. Final nail in the coffin on the south edge, and that res should be coming on through for the Mad Bulls. Thundertalk are out, so our table toppers going to be taking another break. This is a big opportunity for the Mad Bulls to put a lot of distance in and see what they can find. Regnum Kaya, in the meantime, they have been busted down to 1. Their east side shore outhold was dismantled by Kara, by a couple of other teams as well, but Kara have now fallen as well. So Wild may be a little bit more unknown here.
DRX, QXZ, still playing underneath. Regnum Kaya were picked to pieces. Only Wild left remaining, as per usual, as is customary. Alpha Gaming still playing as 4, but it's a rough approach for them.
Ooh, doesn't have too many meds. Look at that, only the 2 first aids. Doesn't want to overexpend himself. And needed to try and get a re-knock there. Levi's actually chiming in, but a nade bobbles its way over. DRX have to cross, and the blue zone's putting too much pressure on to make this one realistic here. I just don't think they're getting out of it. With Grisao as well on the far side. The nades coming through from the DXavier duo. Oh, it's dastardly. It's mischievous coming through from Paragin and Levi's. They are doing a lot of work for DXavier on this west side. They're up to 5 elims.
I know, it's paradoxical, but it works. This is what's happening for DXavier right now. I don't really understand it. I mean, the fact that they're in top 7 is wild to me. But as Pro go down to just 1 point as the Arena take some very big shots towards them, and with Aragon down towards the south side, very unlikely VP gets back up into the picture. Whoa. Good step up from DRX, jumping into the boat from Kagsei to get a separate different angle. More shots from DXavier, trying to weaken them as much as possible, soften them up for this initial nade that's going to come over the top here.
DXavier not really going to have sightlines on them for too much longer. The nades need to be on target now, because stepping up and over, you can have Ulf starting to take shots at you. APG maybe even from a distance. But DRX may have just done the impossible. Getting across this river seemed like it was just not going to happen. But here we are, in a position to see it maybe coming on through. The Wolves surviving with a solo, by the way, on that south edge. So maybe that's where DRX go next.
Yeah, I mean, Doran's doing quite well for it. Alpha Gaming got torn apart. I mean, that position they took is not terrible, honestly, and I think Mad Bulls wanted it, but the speed at which they were plucked out of this game was quite astonishing from the Mad Bulls, who finally are having a bit of a resurgence today. It's been slightly less impressive towards the start of the day, some points here and there, but nothing crazy. But from that spot, you have a lot of control over the rest of the lobby. You're mainly just worried about Aragon and E-Arena, but you control these roadsides very well, and as long as that's possible, you have a great game in your hands. They still have to hope for a southeast shift on this one, and then it's very likely to be a Mad Bulls win.
Certainly would seem that way. Let's see where the circle goes. It goes pretty central, Blank, which gives Mad Bulls, again, probably one of the better positions. They could still play on those roadsides. They could still play on those ridges out towards the fields, the cover that they've already established. And the teams over towards the west side, I mean, it's a question of who gets the chance to try and move out towards where Ulf are playing.
Xavier forced to drop down as many smokes as possible to make this push work, but DRX very healthy now, and the nades start to bear fin. This is a crazy push from QXZ, looking for a little more. Hyunbin around the side. Paragin's already down. Levi has a monumental task ahead of him.
They gave him too much trouble on the river crossing, and now they want their revenge. Kagsei moves on in, but is going to be taken down from the backline. QXZ able to get the final blow there. Arena from the rooftops, making it a little bit tricky, but that res definitely will be possible. The smoke just about to fade there. And they'll get Hyunbin back up. Kagsei moves in, stopping Arena, or trying to anyway, on that angle. Drops down. DRX have to make another move now. Their zone still not in their favor. They've been through it now, and DRX definitely tested their mettle. And so far, it's looking pretty shiny.
It is. I mean, they have just been in the forge all day, slamming away on the Smith, because this has been a very, very different DRX to what we previously saw earlier. I've been quite impressed with what I've been looking at so far from DRX in these last couple of games. I mean, it was a bit of a weaker start on that chicken dinner, but then they stepped up from there. And I mean, it's always nice to see an interview come through and them stick to the guns from what their plan was, which was to get a little bit more aggressive, understand the lobby a little bit better, and they certainly have done that here. Shots going through over towards Mormon, but this kind of cover is very difficult to deal with, and DRX will need to use smoke to slowly work their way down on this cliff, because eventually this fight between E-Arena and DRX has to conclude.
I mean, the fact that Doran's still alive as well for Wolves is pretty crazy, especially given the compound he was sat in seemed to be prime real estate. Nobody really had the gumption, though, to go for it. He's been allowed to live for a little bit longer, despite obviously not having that many meds to his name. It is a tough time for Doran on that western edge. Next zone will pop on in. It goes very, very central again, and it keeps the Mad Bulls pivots in. It keeps Ulf in, too.
This is right. I mean, this is the exact circle that no one really wanted. I think E-Arena and DRX probably most favored by this one. For the Mad Bulls, they have a very slim amount of area to play with. It depends whether they've got vehicles or not, John, because they could technically swing round the back of E-Arena and play off that. But yeah, it's a difficult push for them. Ulf sends a nade in and will find Pusher off the back of this one. Scarface looking for more, though, as he primes another grenade in the back pocket.
Ooh, sends it longer, does tag on to Pusher, but Lemon sails in for the rescue to re-bolster their position. Just making sure that Ulf are a little bit slower on it. There's that second nade, that third nade coming in through as well. Flip. Looks to try and back off the angle. Lemon draws attention. The res is necessary here for Mad Bulls to make the move. Lemon doing a lot to distract here, but it seems like Scarface is dogged in his pursuit. The nades will not stay away, and Pusher is burnt out. But it was a little bit of a step too far as Joker able to land shots to Scarface.
That is devastating for Mad Bulls on this south side. Losing a player like that, it's really quite painful. Aaron's still up and available, taking some pot shots, but more nades pouring over the top as the arena starts to realize where they are. DRX down to just one player in QXZ as the rest of the team attempts to crawl back over towards him for some emergency triage. Doran finally falls in 5th place as Ulf remains up and in this game.
The arena trying to move through. Tourniquet goes down, and it's now just Joker remaining. DRX playing as a solo as well. If they don't get this res, a nade is being cooked now, and QXZ wants the shot, wants the shutdown, looks for Joker, goes a little bit long with it, but Mormon might not be long for it either. The nade in response, QXZ breaking out wide. In the meantime, the Mad Bulls are making moves too. Ulf in the fight too. Trying to stay alive in and amongst it. Mad Bulls now still have the numbers advantage. The nades, the Molotovs, putting pressure on E-Arena. But what's going on the south side, Blank? Who's going to be able to take control of that roadside?
QXZ looking for the full squad wipe over towards E-Arena. Joker on the low ground, starting to move up. Nade sent long, slightly off target though. Immediately sends another, lets it bubble through. He's just littering the ground with those mines, but is it enough right now? QXZ needs to step up, knows roughly the direction he's coming from. Tourniquet attempting to provide that information back from inside the bush. QXZ extremely low now, needs to step up soon, but Joker might just make it happen with this final nade.
In the meantime, Mad Bulls going toe-to-toe with the remnants of Ulf. They are 2 players standing. Tulika unlikely to get back up here, and they've got the angle. They step up around the side of the tree. The Mad Bulls were able to claim it from the ditch. Ulf could not hold them out. It looks like it might be a little bit ropey for a time there, but they play off one another beautifully, and the Mad Bulls reclaim their spot towards the top of those tables.
I mean, for Mad Bulls, what a great way to finish that out. I mean, taking down the entirety of APG in such short order as well on the position that won them the game. I mean, it wasn't even massively advantageous. And I think the thing that does win the game for them is just how long QXZ lives out in that engagement. The amount of knocks he's able to pull through over towards E-Arena as they push towards his position. If not for that, I think Mad Bulls might have had a slightly harder time against a re-bolstered E-Arena on that side of the map. But they were so distracted for so long by DRX.
Getting that picture line up just perfect. Why not? Make sure you're looking fresh, looking hot. As everyone giving them the mad dog down the lens. Love to see it. Love to see it. No smiles. They're not celebrating. They're just going to do it again. We'll see just what they're able to do as we head over to the analyst desk as well.
Represent, had to do it hella big, had to run it back again, light it up, hella big, light it up, gotta do it. Light it up, light it up, represent, had to do it hella big, had to run it back again, light it up.
Wow, what a game. We get Mad Bulls getting their second chicken dinner on the day, and this one was a tough one, Nepturo. This circle was brutal.
It really was, but you know what? I love the way Mad Bulls played this. It was so nice. It was methodical. That's the word I want to use for them right now, because they come up through the south side, but they don't go guns blazing or anything like that. They just keep it slow, keep it steady, use their info, and just are really able to push through and take teams down one by one.
I genuinely believe this was a great game, Niptra, from Mad Bulls. I mean, we both agree that the way they executed the mid to late game transition was beautifully executed. I do believe, though, they weren't really fully tested going into this. I feel like no teams were trying to take away good positions out of Mad Bull's hands, and they were just given strong positions, and they used them to their full potential. I wanted to see other teams try and snatch those positions away, but it never happened the entirety of this match, and they just, like, exuded complete control upon this lobby. I mean, look at Lemon. He was an MVP contender of yesterday, and he's once again able to flex out 5 eliminations on his lonesome. This guy is a beast in this Gauntlet stage.
Yeah, I really love what he was doing as well with the Ulf player, right? With Scarface trying to grab the nades and trying to get as many elims. And Lemon coming in with the car, just trying to distract as well. Like, just really backing up his teammates as much as he could. I really liked that play from him as well.
Beautifully done. Beautifully done. You know what? Speaking of plays, though, Max, man, we got to talk about R8, okay? It was... So, right there, they're on the other side of the bridge holding that hill, okay? For those of you guys that don't know, we're talking, we're chatting, right? Okay, what should R8 do? Maybe they should crest up that hillside, possibly challenge, and then kind of go through the water on that end, or should they go into the blue zone through the other side? And then they're just like, nope, pedal to the metal right down the center. What do you think about that, Max?
I was hoping they were going to take the eastern bridge of Rozok and go for wide rotation in the blue onto Mad Bulls. That was my guess. This is why I'm saying Mad Bulls were not really contested on any position and given for free. But R8, they had a clear path to success. We'll see it possibly at one point during these replays. And they're like, no, how about we go through the meat grinder of the lobby, Niptra? They go to the main bridge in the center, and there was Ulf, there was Rangdom Kara, Zeke Xavier, DRX, Kara, and they're like, that sounds like the good option, but it wasn't. What are we doing, R8? There was a way better option here going south into Mad Balls, but unfortunately, I feel like they got a bit narrow-minded here, and that did cost them to go out so quickly. It's not even funny. They just disappeared.
Yeah, you know what I would almost have liked better if they did want to go for the crazy play, is just send the vehicles into, not over the bridge, but over the water. Flow over the water, get to the other side, get to the other bank. You're low ground, but at least you don't have 6 teams looking at you. I mean, that would be so much better.
Oh, do we see the okay.
We should have gone down the middle earlier, right?
We should have listened to Max, man. But, yeah, you know what? Actually, even though I'm not a fan of the play of sending cars in the water, definitely would have been better than whatever that was. Sorry, I feel like I'm being extra harsh on this, but there were decent options here, and they just got very desperate because maybe they delayed their move too much, and then they go like, oh, we have to do something. We took way too long to make a play, and unfortunately the play they ended up doing, in my opinion, was like the worst option of all. But you know what? It's fine. They're still looking comfortable in the rankings. It's not going to hurt them too much, but at the end of this game, so many cool 1v1 scenarios here. Joke in particular, able to survive and outplay DRX with the nades. A few of them didn't connect, but the last ones did, and that does get them a second place as you go over the recap of the rotates here, and some really interesting rotates moving around the board here, Niptra, this match.
Yeah, I really want to... Yeah, I really want to look at Mad Bulls in particular, because you can just see how south they actually go and how split they actually were as well. They had some really pretty big splits for the area that we were in, so I really liked seeing that as well, because I mean, I just love splits so much. I know a lot of teams don't play that way, but splits to me is just so controlling. You can do so much with them as well, and you can see that there, like even splitting across to the other side of the river just to get as much control as possible, then moving on up, just playing it super slow, Max. I loved this from them.
Yeah, I love that rotation in particular from Mad Bulls. They see the circle going east of the river, which was a hard shift for a majority of this lobby. It's like, well, we can just avoid the big meat grind on the western side where DRX currently are on the minimap, and they just get easy access into Thunder Talk's compound. They snatch it away in that 4v2 and just, again, showcase perfect control in the field on the rest of this PMGC Gauntlet lobby. So very well executed, and that is a 20-point bomb here, Hot Jukes. Coming out from the Mad Bulls, they were looking good after their win yesterday, and here they're going to solidify their position in that top 7.
Yeah, he'll take that all day long. Beautiful rotations there for Mad Bulls. 20 points, huge, especially at this point in the stage. We are now past that halfway point. We're gonna got 2 Miramars left. By the way, I mean, DRX, right? They were right there on that
and Erangel is here. We are ready for the desert. We'll be taking it by storm, I'm sure. Plenty of action left to unfold now. On the southeast side, the plane path will start. We're heading all the way up to La Cobraria on that plane to see ourselves in there. Erangel is over for today. Let's see what more our teams can do.
Indeed. So a bit of a large amount to be playing around with. We've seen some teams have a big resurgence from yesterday. Kara in particular, Thunder Talk. Basically, I think after they reached 100 points, they pretty much just slowed things down in a big way. Mad Bull's able to bring a little bit more thunder to the table, so another one of our consistent teams over 2 of our days so far. Virtus Pro desperately trying to get some more points on the board though, and have been struggling to do so far, and I think that's a team that I will be looking at during this match.
It will be necessary to keep up the pace around that 7th place bubble. It's starting to get a little bit less hodgepodge than it was before. Obviously, Thunder Talk having a bad, well, I say bad game. They're sort of due one, right, at some point. But not having the greatest of games did allow a couple of teams to add some significant points to their tallies. So the number of teams that are going to be more flexible towards that boundary gets fewer and fewer as time passes. Circle heads out to that northwest side. El Pozo, Montenuevo, the areas to the south of Crater Fields as well, going to be a heavy feature now in this phase.
I think probably my favorite circles on Miramar over towards this side of the map. I enjoy a lot of the high ground gameplay as well as some of the Montenuevo finishes, El Pozo finishes, and those are always really fun to watch. And there's some decent terrain to play around, and it's quite tactical in terms of the approach that you need to make of where you're rotating, because there is slightly less areas to cut yourself off from other squads other than this northern side of the map. But in the meantime, most teams did have to make a big west shift over towards on this circle. So teams like DRX, Alpha Gaming, they can make these quick swings out towards the western side and probably get some good rotates off the back of that. Similarly for Mad Bulls on the north in La Cobraria to start with, and Alpha 7 should have a decent start from El Pozo, but again, only just barely making it into top 7 right now with 59 points.
That is very much by the skin of their teeth, and tied with both DX Xavier and Alpha 7 on that 59 makes it all the more uncomfortable. The drop-offs not far to be comfy either. Alpha Gaming 33 points, still need a lot more from them. They have been playing mucky. They've not been playing great at all over certainly today and yesterday as well. Just a little bit wayward, nothing really standing out about them. They've had 1 or 2 moments from individuals, but they need to find that put-together attitude that Thunder Talk's certainly been exemplifying.
Wolves quickly into Montenuevo here, John. I think Wolves is certainly a team that needs to pick up the pace a little bit, because although they are finding points here and there, there's been no real dominant games so far from Wolves. A lot of it's been very scrappy. DX Xavier, another team that I would like to see more out of. And again, it's frustrating because I think for DX Xavier, despite them going down to 2 a lot of times, they're still a force to be reckoned with. So why can't there be a force to be reckoned with 4 players instead? I think that if DX Xavier starts to get things rolling, we could really see a quick result in towards that top 7. But for now, I think if they consistently are losing players towards that mid game, that's going to be something that always holds them back. I mean, even saying that, currently in 8th place with 59 points, it's actually incredible that they are here in the leaderboard right now, John.
I mean, yeah, especially when you consider the teams that sit behind them, not least of which Regnum Karya, right? They are currently now 14th place, 39 points, a very disappointing start. You said that, you know, they were looking to that first day maybe to try and speed things up, but they haven't really been able to keep pace at all today. The first half not going their way. Erangel now done. They've only got 2 matches to start to pick up that pace, and I don't think that you're going to be able to take 2 research days very often at all. And Regnum Karya certainly falling by the wayside. A disappointing showing. But on the flip side of that, you've got Kara still representing the region and having a great time in 3rd place.
Yeah, much better stuff from them. I mean, Ulf's also trying to get in towards that top 7 at 45 points. It's a little bit more of a journey for them. Again, I think the desk has talked about this at length about how Wolf, you know, really aren't displaying that same caliber of gameplay that we saw from their region in particular. And we'll have to wait and see how things pan out for them, because I do think Ulf is certainly a strong team, but feels to me like they're very much an off and on team, right? You know, it could be one set of 3 days are fantastic, the other set of 3 days pretty rough, and I hope that's not going to be the case. You need some consistency as a team. And again, it's so funny, like looking through the list of teams, because the conclusion you come to every time is that we know these guys can perform at a high level, but then again, you know, we can only have a top 7 team.
I mean, yes, it's the sort of leeway that you're afforded by having that sort of legacy on the global stage, right? There's a little bit of room for breathing on some slightly unsavory days, we'll put it that way. Virtus Pro, though, it feels like Virtus Pro, I mean, you're talking about, you know, needing to step up that pace. Virtus Pro, it feels like they'd be doing much better than they've actually put the points up for, right? I feel like I'm seeing them quite a lot in these late games, but they are having several catastrophic results. They're not having the floor level of their performance rise high enough to match where we're seeing them in the later parts of these games.
I mean, early mid-game rotations, pretty damn good from Virtus Pro usually. It's those mid to late game that are actually like what is causing them such grief at the moment, where they'll go out around about 19, 18 minutes into the game, but because they haven't really got too many eliminations and placement points haven't kicked in yet, they just don't get a whole lot out of it. I think most of the points that we see Virtus Pro get were from yesterday and then some scrappy games here and there. So I do think they need to tighten up some of that gameplay towards the end game, because, you know, early to mid game doesn't look too bad for Virtus Pro at the moment. I think a lot of teams don't really play the same way they do, which is quite quick and loose a lot of times in those early moments, and because they're able to quickly adapt on the fly, they're able to do that, and there's not many other teams that quite fill that same category.
It's been a difficult road for Virtus Pro. They've got a chicken dinner, though, on the first match of the tournament. Indeed, on Rondo. Able to get 11 eliminations there. Nice stuff to find. On the eastern side, looks like OG have found themselves a scrap with current lobby laggers, Geeke. They are very much behind everyone else by quite a margin now, as teams start to accelerate away from them. And in fact, OG are going to accelerate away from that position as well. They want to get a little bit closer, more stuck in, maybe over towards Thundertalk. Getting stuck in, though, is GS, as Alpha Gaming have 2 players on the hold. GS are going to take the opposite house. They're not going to go full crash on this, and actually that's going to allow APG to regroup. Top maybe actually finding a shutdown.
Yeah, it's not a bad shot. You also have DX Xavier chiming in at a distance over towards a DS. 3, and I think that you have DX Xavier maybe able to carve out a little bit of land there. Yeah, that's an awkward one. You really got to get 2 players over, and I think that the coordination has gone to pot here for GS just because of that outside sight line coming through from DX Xavier on this engagement.
The circle's going to pop as well very soon. Regnum can't have oversight on this as well as DX Xavier. This full compound is on surround. A hard west shift. It's speed now that is of the essence for teams looking to try and hold this western side. Alpha 7 primed and ready to rotate into the west. Regnum Kaya as well could give the slip to Montenuevo, try and get out there nice and quickly. But they may want to stick around and pick up a point or 2 here. I would say that that might be a mistake, though, as other teams are definitely not going to waste any time.
Yeah, Wolves getting a very good start to the game here, starting in Montenuevo and now being able to set a little bit over towards the west. We've got a lot of unplayable terrain in this one over towards the western side. That cuts out quite a bit of the circle itself. And you also have like a nasty terrain on the western side. And APG finally is able to put an end to GS there, taking down Jafar. Reaper straight back into the fire though, which is not great. The Xavier in the meantime just taking shots over towards the vehicles, but they know better than everyone else that they need to get a move on. They're currently behind APG in the queue towards the circle. So whilst APG is getting reset and ready to go, they're going to take a quick rotate, probably down towards the south past La Diera, I'd imagine.
It's a very difficult set of rotates for the teams on the east, getting through El Pozo on the north side. Montenuevo, a bit of a roadblock on that east. It's actually a very treacherous approach to the centers areas of this circle. I wouldn't be too surprised to cut a lot of teams out, even here in stage 2, and not really be able to make it. Either that, or we'll see 3 or 4 teams in Montenuevo and El Pozo.
Kara currently lining up towards the concretes on the north side. Not a bad spot either. I actually quite like this position on the map for Kara. It is a bit awkward where you can't really play it on the rooftops too much because there is sightline from the eastern edge. But in terms of position to just play out the rest of the game, it certainly works that way. And a lot of this circle is based on basically survival towards those final moments of the match, because it is quite awkward at times. It depends if it moves down towards the south side, in which case that area becomes a little bit more of a hot spot. But right now for Kara, I think this is a safe position to play.
They've got a decent chunk of it. Arena as well, with a high ground out to their west, a little bit less maneuverable, but potentially more profitable if they're able to find those shots, to find those angles onto the teams trying to find any remnant of cover that is remaining on this one. PK, they have the point to the north of Monson Waver right now, under control against Ulf, but Ragnarok going to be backed off and will fold back in with the rest of his team. Meanwhile, on the southeast side, you got Alpha Gaming with OG approaching. A big split again for Alpha Gaming. They are not close to one another. Oh, a little bit of a trouble on the road there. But they do manage to extricate themselves from one another, keeping themselves nice and tidy on it. A big, whoa, hang on a minute. He's all the way up the top there. I was wondering, let's drop off there, but no, he's climbed all the way up. And now Aragon sat on his mighty perch. Gonna take shots down.
Yeah, I mean, wow, you got up there and now you're immediately leaving. Okay, interesting. Wasn't worth it to him, apparently. Doesn't take too much fall damage, at least with this next circle moving away. Again, that spot would have been really good if this shifted hard over towards the western side. And I think Virtus Pro, you try and take the gambles where you can. In this case, they're already on the western side of the circle, so you may as well try and take high ground off the back of it. In the meantime, circle moves a little bit more comfortably towards the center here. There is really awkward ground over towards the western side of Regnum Kaya, which is dead center, by the way, which is very, very open. But I think the Regnum Kaya could get some decent results off the back of this game. I also like where the Xavier is currently playing on the high ground just on La Driera, watching as teams rotate in from that southeast edge.
Yeah, it's going to be a real roadblock on that south side. You're right. It's going to force teams like OG, like Alpha Gaming to go through a city, which is already trying to get pretty packed, or try and go over a ridgeline out in the open. Ulf have spotted a player from R8, Aaron able to find that shot, find that shutdown. R8, one by one almost, are leaving their buildings here. They flexed a player out now to try and combat on this high ground, but it's just not really too many easy positions to try and take against it. The arena, they've descended from the mountaintops and then now up to the Mad Bulls to try and slow them down. Lemon under a lot of pressure here, and the team sallies forth to go for the rescue. Kara chiming in too, and they're getting lit up for the arena.
Yeah, Arena backed off that position, and Mad Bulls will take the advantage on that one. Nades have to keep pouring through from the Arena to keep Mad Bulls at bay, but there are shots from up on high. That's from the Wolves already, finding good value off of this position. Kara did send out one outpost towards a longhouse on their south side, and because this fight is taking place, they might be able to get the rest of the team towards there, which is a little bit more central, a little bit more playable for them as well, as opposed to those concretes on the northwest.
Man, there's about 5 teams in these cracks and crenellations right now on the rocky outcrops here, trying to survive like insects in the desert sun, scuttling from one bit of shade to the next, seeing if they can weather the onslaught from Kara, from Regnum Kaya, if they get a look at as well. The Wolves up top a little bit less worried, but still in danger. Circle will appear in 20 seconds. We'll know just where we're going. Who's going to have that advantage? North, south? Is it going to go out to the really horrible western part of this circle? We'll have to wait and see.
You see here, there's this valley that cuts through the center of the circle. It's just really awkward to play. All finding one on the side of the map here. That's over towards R8, I believe. Enough engagement for R8, really stuck down the hillside here, and slowly but surely more and more damage pours through, and R8 will be going down. Ulf will live this one out, but still lose one player in the process. That's all the way on the northeast side of the map, so they still got to cut through many teams here. But yeah, this circle being so central does cut a lot of teams out right now. OG able to find a position just underneath La Driera in the longhouse, which should keep them safe for a while. I mean, leaving there is going to be slightly difficult as they push over towards Thunder Talk's position. But because it's so messy on this side of the map, OG might be able to find themselves a little position or a little route to get through. We'll wait and see how they want to play that one out, though. Alpha Gaming rolling, barrel rolling in towards Geeke and finding a knock to start things off.
That was stylish. Okay. Looking for more as well. There's no re-knock found so far, but Seol and Top try to go in. Nah, it's under guard, under lock and key. You're not getting past them. Nerzed will be safe for now, but Reefus had more success on his angle, on his approach. APG down to just one player now. It is just Reefus alive for them on the roll-up. Will be able to get a house all to himself, and DK actually surviving as 3 here. Looking for the heals to come on through. Excellent work to hold that one down. Nerzed thought he was gonna, but no, he had a savior. Ragnarok, though, wants to try and force his team to save another person as he charges in on his own.
Yeah, it's just another curious crash with really no setup whatsoever other than the barrel roll, I suppose you could call it. And I think APG is just trying to win out these fights. It's a lot of ego challenges from Alpha Gaming. I don't know how far that's going to take them. In this Gauntlet, at least, not very. I am slightly confused by that one. Did not feel like an international level play.
I mean, the thing with ego challenges is that they're supposed to bruise your ego when they don't go well, but it feels like APG are sort of immune to that factor, which is maybe why they're sort of poisoning themselves with it. It's a real tough time.
They're on a big split right now, and understandably so. I mean, playing around this region of the map, like you say, there is tons of teams all tucked into these positions right now because there's not many great places to go. For Regnum Kaya, this is a fantastic opportunity to get more points on the game. They have a very, very good location on the map to work with. The circle centers up towards them. So many good sight lines, just be taking shots, and they roughly know where all the teams are coming from as well, because it's absolutely down towards the southeast side and up towards the north. You know, no one's really going to be wanting to be playing on that southwest edge of the map, and the only safety is on the western edge of this hillside.
APG down again. That is unfortunate. Can't style it out this time. TT, the Thunder Talk at the top of the tables. Happy as Larry. The only team who's actually very, very chill right now. Not really too worried. And actually, they're in a pretty solid spot. This west side of Monte Nuevo is going to work out for them for the time being. I just question how long they're going to be able to survive into this game. Getting out of there, going to be a tough task. DXavier, they are holding this South Ridge really, really well. They will have oversight onto that Thunder Talk position. The approaches on every other angle, though, incredibly packed with players.
And there it is. That's the circle we were looking for Regnum Kaya at least. And now things are going to get very, very difficult. I'm curious to see how OG plays this one out. I think DXavier have a good idea that OG are underneath them. But the options aren't amazing for OG here. They could just brute force it through DXavier. Considering how split they are as well, there's a good chance for it. It's just a question of how well DXavier scouted out this position. And I remember saying that about R8 versus OG, and it's R8 who took the first knock there too. So again, I don't think OG's been slacking at all in terms of the information gathering down that side. Great nade from Revo over towards Doran, trying to take control of this high ground from the north side, but time is limited as the circle starts to squeeze them in.
Only 3 players alive, 4 Wolves, and that's going to leave Batten without a sight line up the top. It's really on to Highorst to try and stop Alpha 7 going up, but it looks like that is going to work. They're worried. They may be too worried about it. Push-up could have been successful, but in the meantime, Ulfa crashing in. There's about 8 teams up here, Blank, and in the mountains. Regnum Kaya are going to be overlooking at them all. They're going to have shots at maybe a few of them. As Scarface has to hit the deck behind his vehicle there. Have a real tough time of things. Alpha 7 continued the nade up top, but the res already came through. Kara, what a chance at it. And they'll not be quite as timid as Alpha 7 in this situation. Doran trying to reposition, get away from things. Maybe regroup. Nah, not so lucky. CEO's got your number.
Yeah, super opportunistic right now coming through from Kara. This is a great moment to make this push over towards the top side. They waited for a team to start taking shots and split the attention of Wolves. And then when Wolves were looking both ways, that's when Kara looks to cross. Very, very good stuff from them. Now sending nades down the hill. Marso's also got an outpost towards the front side of things. This has been very, very calculated so far from Kara. Super clean from them. In the meantime, OG tempting to brute force it basically through Xavier, but struggling slightly on that side of things. And time is only running out for them down the southeast side of the map.
I mean, Xavier are going to have to move as well. And the teams on the north, not as necessary for them to try and shunt on in, but it is so prickly on this northern edge. So many teams, as I said before, like desert insects scuttling around this hilltop, having a really rough time of it. Survival, the name of the game. With 13 teams remaining, I mean, we're getting in towards the sort of zones that you expect a lot fewer teams to be in existence here. OG are making their ascent, though, against Xavier, trying to find an opening. Shot. That's what they were looking for from Lambert. He will fall down. AKOP able to land that shot, tag it on. A tanky moving up as well, but the Blue Zone's putting pressure on. They're playing around these smokes quite well. Paragin has to back off the angle, and AKOP doing a lot of work. Heavy lifting coming on in, but his teammates have fallen around him, and it is going to be so much harder now to make this ascent. Fortunately, the reses need to come through for Xavier, and they're allowing him to move on the back line. AT steps in, and that will be the end of OG. Into the Valley of Death they ride, and they will be shut down because of it, but not before extracting their pound of flesh from Xavier.
Yeah, it's a tough rotate. It's a tough rotate to make, and I think for OG, they were banking on this being a southeast shift. And I mean, that's a very strong position if that's the case, but pushing up on that hillside, so hard. For Regnum Kaya, though, it's easy game for them. Honestly, it depends how Kara plays out this end game, but I think for Regnum Kaya, this is kind of an easy pickup overall, just taking more and more shots to the outside chances. They have to hope that it actually shifts away from them on the north side, but that's purely to pull players off from the north.
A 2v3 over towards Thunder Talk. Okay, Geeky are dominating. They got 5 elims. Why not have a little bit of a late game resurgence? What more can you do with these 2 players remaining? They've managed to do quite a lot of work, and now it's just Shing left, and he's thinking, guys, that's 2 players, and they're from Geeky. Like, how has this happened to you? How far have we fallen? They've already got 114 points now on the tally. They want a little bit more, but they're still feeling very safe. They just need to get maybe like a point a game. Let's see what they can find. Ah, there we go. There's a knockover towards NZ, even in the score. Meanwhile, over on the north edge, teams are starting to fall. Lower and lower on these player counts. You can see a lot of empty bars there. Not too many teams fully wiped out, but with 12 teams remaining, there's an average of just over 2 players per team, which is quite a significant metric. It's now exactly 2 players. No, hang on a minute. That was a team that went down. Ugh. The maths keeps getting harder, by the way. Not a lot of players per team.
DRX make their way into the top 7 with that. To 62 points now on the game, but are able to handle PK. They take a lot of casualties for it. VP similarly also on the chase here, down towards the south side of the map, as the final player from Xavier finally makes his way back into the moment, but Kara is just taking names left, right, and center.
I mean, you say that, but now it's just down to Pusher. TonyK on a sliver of HP, stays alive in the smoke. On the off angle, the Ulf player could be big here against Poser. Has to fall back, look for these reses. On the top side as well, you've got Mad Bulls to worry about. The player there, Tulika, could take a crack at it. CEO has to hold for the rest of his team. I think he knows that Tulika's there. That'll keep them safe, but TonyK's on the hunt. He's moving in with a bumpy. Need an assist from the top rope, but CEO has to hit the deck. That's going to give the game away on the push, however, and Kara can hold firm. TonyK falls and Kara stay alive. They're up to 12 elims with a possibility of a full reset.
This is insane work from Kara today. Again, that's very well played from CEO as well. I think a lot more players would have full committed to that spray, but all he knows he needs to do is just delay for a little bit longer for the rest of his team to pull out, because as soon as those shots go towards his end of things, he can immediately back off. The team can do the rest of the work. So that's good trust in the rest of his team as well. And Marsto's finding a hell of a shot across range over towards Milky Way there. Goodness me. That is the outpost they sent on the western side of the road, so very unlikely that VP gets that player back up again.
Might go on a mad dash, but oh, they are. Okay, hang on a minute. I thought it was unlikely, but they desperately want to keep their players in check. CEO still seemingly having sightlines there. Ketch now the last solo player on that north side, the remnants of that hilltop struggle. Higgles as well was able to get out of there earlier for the Wolves and surviving as a solo. A real tough time on this northern edge. And Regnum Kaya, I mean, they haven't got too many elims for it though, Blank. Which means that even though they've got this far, 6th place, that's not enough of a reward. They want more.
Yeah, they basically need to get first place from this position, and it is a first place position too. Nade over the top, quick bubble, underarm, easy peasy, 13 elims added to the tally.